Should be starting any minute now. In a second.
Good evening, everybody. You're watching America First. My name is Nicholas J. Fuentes. We have a great show for you tonight. Very excited to be back here with you tonight on Monday. We have a lot to talk about tonight, lots to get into. Big show. Our featured story tonight, we got a big story for you. I'm sure you've all heard. I'm sure you've seen the clip. I think it's safe to say that the Groypers can finally tribes election happens. Trump gets elected with the help of the Israelis.
From this day forward, it's going to be
I'm sure you've seen the clip. I think it's safe to say that the Groypers can finally declare total and complete victory. It is inevitable because MAGA has spoken. We are 2-3 weeks into a MAGA civil war about what can be said, to whom, who we can talk to, whether we can interview people. And this all started when Tucker Carlson interviewed me at the end of last month. And there's been so much back and forth between the Israel First, Make Israel Great Again movement on one side, led by Mark Levin, Laura Loomer, Ben Shapiro, Seth Dillon, Joel Berry, Josh Hammer, among others, Ted Cruz. And then on the other side is America First. The original America First, the original pro-Trump crew, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Marjorie Greene, Dave Smith, Ian, me, all the Israel-critical people on the right that support the original mission of Trump, which is to put America first. This is how the table was set for the past few weeks. A lot of back and forth, a lot of heated invective polemics against each other. But last night, MAGA spoke in one voice. And yesterday, President Trump himself finally weighed in on the Civil War, and he said, Tucker can interview whoever he likes. He says, get the word out. Let people decide for themselves. That's a wrap. Sorry, pro-Israel. Sorry, Zionists. Sorry, Israel First. That's a wrap. MAGA has spoken. And the message is loud and clear. Our right as Americans to speak freely, our right to freedom of expression, our right for voluntary association with one another has prevailed over your overriding interest in one country and its geopolitical ambitions in the Middle East. Yes, you lost. And it goes without saying, it should be obvious that this is where the vast majority of Americans are, on the right and the left now. There is now a complete synthesis. Americans are making their decision. And the decision is this: we want out. We want out of our entangling, compromising, unconditional, abusive relationship with the state of Israel and with the American Jewish oligarchs that seem to be manipulating our system to keep this gravy train going in perpetuity. Americans have gotten together. They have discussed it. They have spoken. They have made their decisions. And there is now broad support on the right and the left. The young people, for the most part, but also the older people, we're done. And what you've seen over the past 3 weeks is the dying gasp of that bipartisan, pro-Israel, Judeo-Christian consensus that dominated American politics for generations. largely due to media monopoly, political influence purchased by billionaire money. The dying gasp, it's now over. And they can fight and they can scream and yell, and Mark Levin can cry about it, and they can hold their little conferences at the World Jewish Congress, at the Republican Jewish Coalition, North American Jewish Federation. These are all real groups, by the way, that have met over the past 2.5 weeks. And they've all gone there, right and left, and cried about it. Mark Levin and Rahm Emanuel, Randy Fine and Barry Weiss. They've all gone there to talk about this. And what you see is an organized ethnic lobby that is increasingly isolated, increasingly alienated. And what you would like to see from that group is engagement. Surely they recognized, I think they're acutely aware that they're losing, and they're losing their grasp on the people, their grip. And when they're faced with a situation like that, what you'd be looking for is engagement. You'd think that they would be listening. You think they would be listening. You think there would be maybe an ounce of humility, maybe some self-reflection, how it got to this point, and maybe what role they played in their own downfall. But instead, all we get is viciousness.
I'm restarting it because it was lagging so bad.
I said it's like every day you wake up and it's new BS. The war with Ukraine is still going on. 600,000 Chinese students, more H-1Bs, 300,000 deportations in the year, no jobs report for October because we lost 50,000 jobs. It's every day, every week, it's more disappointment. It's been a rough first year. But finally, some good news. Thank you, Mr. President. If he has not been good on many issues, this was pretty good on this one. This is the one that counted. Did you trust the plan? Plan trusters, how are we feeling? You know, I think today I'm going to trust the plan. I don't know. I just have a feeling everything's going to be okay. If there's one issue he's been solid on, it's that he didn't throw Tucker under the bus. So good for him. Somebody said on Twitter, I'll just say this before we move on with the show. You know what's really funny? Somebody posted on Twitter yesterday. They said Nick realized last year that Trump rewards the people that attack him and punishes the people that are loyal to him. J.D. Vance, who was a never-Trumper, called Trump a Nazi. He's the vice president. Marco Rubio, who viciously attacked Trump in the primary a decade ago. Now he's the Secretary of State. Chris LaCivita, who abandoned Trump on January 6th. He's the campaign manager. And all the loyalists like Ann Coulter, Jeff Sessions, Steve Bannon, they're on the outs. So somebody said Nick realized that. Light bulb, started to attack the president viciously for a year. Lo and behold, guess what happens? Trump defends me. He didn't really defend me, but Trump refuses to disavow me. So look, don't hate the player, hate the... If you support Trump, if you vote for Trump, if you're pro-Trump your whole life, Trump pulls the rug out from under you. I don't need your vote. You know, Jeff Sessions, he makes fun of his accent. I hate Ann Coulter. But if you attack him for years, like J.D. Vance, like LaCivita, like all these other people, Well, now you're in the administration. Now you're the best friend. I said, hey, well, I'll just do what they do. I think I'll just take a page out of their playbook. Maybe I'll be the vice president. You know, maybe if I just attack Trump every day for 3 years like Vance did, who knows? Maybe I'll be next in line. Maybe I'll be the next successor. So that's what we call playing the game. It's a little game sense for you. It's called pattern recognition. Get used to it. It's called pattern recognition. Ever heard of it? I noticed something. I was noticing. Anyway, so we'll get into all that. We're also going to talk tonight about the Epstein files. It looks like Trump has finally caved, and today on True Social, President Trump posted that he's finally willing to release the Epstein files. Although, it seems that this capitulation has come only because it was going to happen anyway. So we talked about it last week. The vote is scheduled for this week, and it seems that there might be 100 Republicans, and all Democrats in the House are going to vote to release the files. So it's going to pass overwhelmingly. This is a bill that will compel the DOJ to release the Epstein files. And so, really, only after Trump utterly failed to prevent this bill from coming to the floor by adjourning Congress early over the summer, by calling in Lauren Boebert into the White House last week and demanding that she drop her support for the bill. It's only after he utterly failed to stop the disclosure of the files, which is imminent. It could happen tomorrow. Now he finally says, all right, okay, we can release them. Okay, well, it was going to happen tomorrow anyway. It was going to happen by Wednesday, whether he supported it, didn't support it. He tried to stop it. It didn't work. It was going to come out anyway. Now he says, oh, all right, release the files. Okay, really? But I suppose there is some credit that is due. And what I will say about this is I really don't believe that Trump did anything criminal on the island. And I said this last week. If you watch my show last week or in July, or I've covered this for months, I really am skeptical that Trump did anything criminal in the files. However, and this is the big asterisk, because Trump lied, because he did lie to cover it up, and he lied about every aspect of it. He lied and said he didn't know if his name was in the files. He lied and said that he did not ask the FBI to look for his name in the files. He lied and said there are no files. So he lied about it. He tried to cover it up. He tried to prevent its release. He tried to trick people into thinking that he released it with the binder photo op. I said, based on that pattern of behavior, we have to draw a negative inference, which is a legal term. You necessarily have to draw a negative inference, which is to say that if he is hell-bent on covering up the files, then you have to assume that whatever is in that must be pretty bad. Now, who knows what that could be? If it's embarrassing or if it's legally actionable, it's hard to say. We don't know because there's no transparency. But if he seems so desperate to the point of it's really costing him a lot of support, you would say then however much support he's losing by covering it up, it must be worth it compared to how much support he might lose if it came out. You draw a negative inference. So if he's now finally getting behind the push to release the files, maybe we can conclude that it will just be extremely embarrassing, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what's in it for ourselves. So we'll cover all that. It's going to be a good show. Before we get into it, I want to remind you to smash the follow button on Rumble, smash the like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show. Remember to check out our store. Fuentes.store, we have our America First hats. That's like I told you last week. We honestly, it's sort of unfortunate because you would want to say red pill versus blue pill, but in this case, it's reversed. Take the blue pill. Fuentes.store. This hat, I'm sorry to say, it's too little too late. You had your chance. MAGA, I'm sorry to say, is over. Too little too late. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. We're finished with that. From this day forward, it's only going to be America first. Fuentes.store, get the hat. Also get the shirt. The shirt is Wang Half. That stands for white ass nigga going hard as fuck, because that's what we are. That's what we all are. They treat us like niggas. They try to throw us out. You know, Mark Levin, to us, we're just niggas to him, you know? We're just some YNs out here in the streets. But we're also white and we're going hard. We don't care. Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, we don't care. Wang Halves are running wild. Wang Halves are going crazy. They're putting chalk. Nick Fuentes is right about Israel at Stanford. They're at Heritage. They're in the White House. The white ass niggas going hard as fuck are running wild. The Wang Halves are all over. And you can't control them. They're going hard. You can't stop. You cannot silence them. Fuentes.store. Check that out. Also, big major announcement, and there's going to be a lot more on this in the coming months, and especially in 2026. This is a brand new announcement that you're going to want to get excited for. People are always asking me, what can we do? Is it too late? How can we put America first in the real world? And I've always told people the answer is simple. Become elite human capital, infiltrate politics. I'm doing my part. I'm getting the word out. Like Trump told me to. I'm getting the word out. I'm telling everybody what's up. But we're going to take a little bit further next year. We have a show. This show, America First with Nicholas J. Fuentes, and it's bigger than ever. We have more viewers. Last week, every one of my shows got 1 million views. I think that's the first time ever, perhaps. So the show is bigger than ever. Here's the problem. This movement is bigger than just me and my personality. That's always the accusation, is it's a cult of personality, and my faults are sort of baked into the show and the rest of it. So I decided this year that in order to take all of this to the next level, we have to start to build an institution. It can't just be about me and my personality and me carrying the show. We need an actual institution. And so to that end, we are bringing back the America First Foundation. It's a 501c4 nonprofit. We're relaunching it in 2026 with a number of new projects. In particular, it's going to be a lot of educational content, short form and long form. We're talking feature length, documentary type videos, short form, animated videos. We're going to be creating a number of resources for the midterm elections. I told people in the last cycle, don't vote for Republicans. Why? Because they put America last. And you can see that happening now. But a fair criticism people say is, so what are we supposed to do? Vote for the Democrats? Or they say, what about the good Republicans like Thomas Massie or Marjorie Greene? Well, to that end, we want to guide people and help them understand who to vote for. So we're going to be looking at every candidate that's running in 2026, and we're going to evaluate them and help people make their decision. We're also going to be analyzing some of the networks behind the scenes. We talk about the Israel First lobby, the Make Israel Great Again movement, and sometimes it's too complex for the show. Too many names, too many connections to keep track of. That's a lot of names people are not familiar with. So we're going to help to create some resources to potentially map out those networks, a true resource so people can get a visual representation, a better idea of these patronage networks, these media markets that are influencing us and how we think about the issues. And so those are going to be the major projects, but it's going to have all the intellectual firepower, the production quality of all the other big names in the conservative movement, but for the purpose of putting America first in the most explicit, the most truthful, the most raw way possible. So we're going to be relaunching that next year. There's going to be a lot of information coming out in the coming months. You'll see some previews, really a lot of exciting things. And if you go to the website, it's americafirstfoundation.org. if you're interested in becoming a donor, major donors, you can get in touch with us there because we're going to be looking to raise some money to bring on some personnel, get the best equipment, things like that, and to really put this stuff together. It's all going to be legit. Like I said, it's a real political nonprofit. And like I said, we're going to be engaging in some real projects in the coming year, especially for the midterms and in a real way for 2028, in a huge way. So check that out. That's for more information if you're interested in becoming a donor, because I know a lot of people have questions about that. They say, should I just super chat? How do I get in touch? There's a contact form on that website, americafirstfoundation.org. So it's going to be very exciting. This needs to be, as I've been telling you for many years, a political movement. And I've waited my entire life. I've tried to help other people do it, and it hasn't materialized. So we have to do it ourselves. So I'm rolling my sleeves up. We're going to build it from the ground up, the America First Foundation. This is going to be the premier institution for putting America first. Very exciting stuff. So check that out as well. And with that, we're going to dive into the show. We're going to jump into it, and we're going to get into the news. And obviously, the big story of the past weekend, which caught me totally by surprise, is President Trump's comments on my interview with Tucker Carlson. And I have to say, it was very surreal. I've been following President Trump for over 10 years now, I think. Maybe just over 10 years. And I've been a fan, and I've been a critic, and I've been a skeptic. I've been on the campaign, and I've been a voter. But, of course, last year I was campaigning against and didn't vote. So for Trump to finally weigh in a direct way, it was a little bit surreal. And we'll get into his comments. Of course, for the past couple of weeks, there has been this huge, intense, brutal civil war inside the GOP about the interview. And I think it's basically undeniable at this point. It is a true civil war. And it's a civil war very clearly about one issue. People can say whatever they like about it. Some people are not my biggest fan, and people can say it's about clips from my show, it's about evil, it's about Hitler, it's about the Nazis, it's about whatever. People can say whatever they like, but we all know, everybody knows, on the right and the left, the young and the old, everybody knows this MAGA civil war, it's literally about one issue and one issue only. And that is U.S. support for Israel. That's it. Period. End of story. That is what has been driving this from the very beginning. And it is based on a fundamental contradiction that once you understand what this is, it's not hard to see why this civil war, not only its nature, but why it was inevitable. The contradiction at the center of all of this is that Donald Trump ran in 2016 on a very simple message. 2 words, America first. That is what he said throughout the campaign in 2015 and 2016. He said, America first. And in particular, how was that ideology expressed? In the most concrete way, America first was relevant in Trump's critique of the war in Iraq. Trump said that invading Iraq under false pretenses, the accusation that Saddam Hussein had amassed weapons of mass destruction, he said this conflict was ruinous for the United States. This was an America-last war. All kinds of money and energy and attention and investment went behind this when it could have went somewhere else. It could have went into rebuilding our own country, our own infrastructure, our own institutions. Instead, it went overseas. And so this is the kind of grievance. This is the message. This is both the abstract and concrete message that actually rallied the Republican base around Donald Trump against 16 other primary candidates in the very beginning in 2015. It's because Trump, contra Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz and everybody else, He was one of the only people to say that all these foreign wars in the Middle East, as well as the trade policy, the immigration policy, all of these policies put Americans last, and they put special interests in America, but also international special interests ahead of the United States. That was the thrust of MAGA. That was the appeal. That's why people liked Trump. That's what made Trump so popular and different from every other politician. Why was the Republican base more loyal to Trump? Why did they turn out in record numbers? Why did Obama voters in the Rust Belt flip to the Republican Party? It was because of that message. And that's what got people excited. That's what got people to turn out. Well, here we are 10 years later. And what did we do over the summer? It looks like we're literally doing the Iraq war all over again. Trump is elected in the context of Israel's war in Gaza, which the United States has supported. We have furnished Israel with over $30 billion in military aid since that war broke out. We have fought the Houthis in Yemen. We have bombed the Shiites in Iraq and Syria. We gave them missiles and bombs and all kinds of weapons to fight not just Hamas, but also Iran. And we threatened to engage Iran on their behalf. Trump is elected, and immediately the first thing that happens is that Benjamin Netanyahu visits the White House, and with the pro-Israel appointees in Trump's own government, like Mike Waltz, for example, at the National Security Council, they begin to lobby the Trump administration to go to war in Iran. And not for any reason, but specifically they say, we have to go to war with Iran because they have weapons of mass destruction. And we saw that for the first 6 months of this presidency, there was an intense tug of war. And it split the administration right down the middle. Allegedly, you had Trump, Don Jr., Steve Witkoff, and J.D. Vance on one side. They wanted to engage Iran in diplomacy and make a nuclear deal. And on the other side, you had John Ratcliffe at CIA, Mike Waltz at the National Security Council. You had Kurilla at Central Command in the DOW. You had elements inside the Department of War behind Pete Hegseth that wanted this war in Iran. And for 6 months, there was scandals over Signal and back and forth, and there was pretty overt political lobbying in the media. Netanyahu trying to sabotage diplomacy, Trump trying to undercut and embarrass Netanyahu. And finally, in June, when Israel started their war with Iran, they eventually compelled the United States to enter the conflict on their side and bomb Iran's nuclear complex at Fordo. This, in a nutshell, is what this whole thing is about. This is what the Civil War is about. And this is why it was inevitable, because of this contradiction. We are 10 years into the MAGA movement. And the spark that started the MAGA movement, realistically, was the frustration, the resentment, the bitterness, and anger that it seemed that no matter who we voted for, no matter what we did, we could never leave the Middle East. Whether you voted for Bush or Obama, it didn't matter. We were still in Iraq. We were entering Syria. We might be getting involved against Iran. And so Trump was elected to put America first and end the WMD regime change war. And yet, after all the fighting, all the scandals, J6, all the controversy, everything we've been through, in the end, we're about to start another war of exactly the same variety? What was it all for? Was it worth it? Why did we do any of this? What was even the point of the whole Trump revolution if we find ourselves in Iraq 2.0? If we're now starting yet another war against an even bigger country for exactly the same false pretense, which is the WMD myth. Iran is 2 weeks away from the bomb. Oh, what, just like Saddam Hussein was? And so what do we have to do? We have to go in and bomb them until we have to do regime change? So contrary to what everybody else is saying, this is not about the woke right, whatever that even means. This is not about anti-Semitism. It's not about Hitler and the Nazis. It's not even about me. It's not about the things I've said on my show over the past 10 years, which you might like or not like, you might agree with, you might disagree with, you might like me or hate me. It's about this contradiction. And whatever you think about me or them, whatever you think about Tucker and Marjorie and Trump and the rest of them, this is the central question. Is the movement going to be motivated and inspired by America first, or is it going to be motivated and inspired by globalism and Israel first? Do we have sovereignty and independence? Is that what this movement is about, or is it about some vague conservatism? Low taxes, foreign wars, free trade. If you can't afford a house, go live somewhere else. If you don't like the war with Iran, get lost. That's the question. And so this has been going on for the past 2 weeks, obviously. And it's very clear that they're using the same tactics they always have. Mark Levin, Randy Fine, Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz, all the usual suspects. They're literally at the Republican Jewish Coalition. Ronald Lauder, the Jewish billionaire, is at the World Jewish Congress. This weekend, Rahm Emanuel, Barry Weiss are at the Federation, they're at the North American Jewish Federation. At each of these 3 meetings, the message is the same, and it's coming from the same crowd. It's coming from organized Jewry, which I don't think is anti-Semitic to say because that's what it is. The Republican Jewish Coalition, which is a coalition of pro-Israel Jewish Republicans. The World Jewish Congress, where you have many powerful private sector, public sector Jews in governments and business from around the world that get together and discuss what is in the best interest of the Jewish community globally. The North American Jewish Federation, it's an organization for all the different groups of Jewish people in this continent. What else would you call that? At these 3 separate gatherings over the past several weeks, organized Jewry, like I said, attended by people from all different walks of life, Barry Weiss, Ronald Lauder, Rahm Emanuel, Randy Fine, Mark Levin, they're all there. Jewish News Syndicate is present. The message is very clear from them. They are saying that the answer to the opposition to the war in Iran, the answer to the opposition to the war in Gaza, the answer to the skepticism about U.S. foreign aid to Israel or support for Israel, the answer to all of this, they say, is cancel culture and censorship. And that's not me saying that. That's them saying that. Ronald Lauder at World Jewish Congress said, we have to use our influence in the government to pass anti-Semitism laws. They want to make criticizing Jews in Israel illegal. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if this were applied to any other group? Like, for example, if they made it illegal to criticize black people, or illegal to criticize Muslims or Saudi Arabia, or if they made it illegal to criticize white people or the Nazis or something. Yes, Ronald Lauder, the billionaire heir to the Estee Lauder fortune, chair of the World Jewish Congress, said, in response to all this discussion, we need to make it illegal to be anti-Semitic, which according to them is to say that Jewish people are loyal to Israel. They say that's anti-Semitic. That's now illegal. Mark Levin at the Republican Jewish Coalition, he went out and said, we're going to write down everybody's name and we're going to see who associates with who. He said, and if you don't disavow Tucker, if you don't disavow Marjorie Greene, if you platform these people, we will not support you in 2026. We will come after you. Dasha Nekrasova at Red Scare, she got dropped from her talent agency for having me on her show. Seems like they're already doing it. So this is, make no mistake about it, this is the subject of the conflict. This is what the Civil War is all about. And there is something, by the way, that goes beyond Israeli policy. When you consider that this is the action and reaction. This is the revolution and counter-revolution. It's very clear that the sides in the conflict are not, strictly speaking, the Israeli government and some Americans. It goes beyond that. Is Rahm Emanuel part of the Israeli government? No. And yet he was there at the North American Jewish Federation saying that Israel is the greatest country in the world and America's number 2. Is Randy Fine part of the Israeli government? No. Is Mark Levin? No. Barry Weiss, Larry Ellison, Ronald Lauder? No, none of these people are part of the Israeli government. Not all of them are neocons. Not all of them are Republicans. Not all of them even support Netanyahu. What they all have in common is they are American Jews that are principally concerned, first and foremost, with the interest and the well-being and the welfare of their own community, of global Jewry and their standing in the world among all the nations, and that happens to include Israel as one of their major bases of operations, let's say. That's really the divide. That's really what's happening here. You have a coalition of people inside the United States of America, right and left, that for different reasons are saying, we're giving Israel too much money. We're going to war for Israel. Our system is being influenced by money through the Adelsons, through AIPAC, through Larry Ellison. Americans are getting together and saying, this is not good for Americans. Americans of all stripes on the right and the left, Christians and Muslims, Christians and atheists, whites and non-whites, men and women, Republicans and Democrats, young people and a lot of older people, even some actually Jews, even some Jews like Dave Smith, among other well-known ones. Americans are coming together and they're saying, this is not good for America. This is not good for Americans. This doesn't benefit our country. And then on the other side, at these meetings that are held, at these conferences, organizations, at the RJC, at the World Jewish Congress, at North American Jewish Federation, these powerful American Jewish people are getting together and saying, what is best for us? What is best for the Jews? What is best for Israel? What is best for all of us? And to put it simply, that's not America first. And a lot of Jewish people like to say, for example, I've seen Brett Weinstein. Brett Weinstein says that as America first, we want to exclude Jews. I would say simply, Jews are excluding themselves. When a Jewish person says, I see myself as a Jew first, not an American, when a Jewish person goes out to an organization of Jewish people and speaks as we the Jews and not we the Americans, am I excluding them from America first, or are they excluding themselves? Are they seeing themselves out of the door? When I say we, I'm talking about we the Americans. When I say what is best for America, I'm talking about what is best for all Americans. Because I identify with America. I identify as part of that tribe. America is my tribe. Americans are my tribe. Citizens of America are the people that I see myself as having something in common with. Whereas at these conferences and organizations, that is not the case. Shapiro and Barry Weiss and Mark Levin and the rest of them, they go out there and say, we the Jews. What is best for us as the Jews? The actions we will have to take. What must be done as the Jews for Israel, for the Jewish community in the United States, for the global Jewish community. And that's not patriotic. That's not American, actually. And by the way, they can't then be mad when other groups do the same thing. How can we expect immigrants, Muslims, blacks, whites, how can we expect any group to put America ahead of their tribe if you won't do the same? How is that reasonable? How is it reasonable to say that when every other group comes to America, you have to leave your racial, tribal, religious, cultural identity at the doorstep, but not the Jews? The Jews can be we the Jews, and we love Israel first and foremost and America second, but then they're going to call me a white supremacist or a white nationalist. They're going to call Zohran Mamdani an Islamist in favor of Sharia law. They're going to call all the non-whites third worldists and the rest of it. How does that work? I saw Ezra Klein brought on some Jewish leftist from New York to talk about me, and they both said the same thing. They said this identity politics is so poisonous. Really? So Ezra Klein will have on Yoram Hazony, and will have on this Jewish leftist, and they're going to talk about what is best for pro-Israel inside the right wing and anti-Semitism. And then they're going to say it's wrong when anybody else engages in identity politics, particularly white people? That doesn't work. That's not American. That's not America first, obviously. They're not America first. They are Israel first. And everybody knows that. And anyway, so this has been the civil war for the past 2 weeks. And of course, the pro-Israel side is clearly losing. Everywhere you look, on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, they are getting ratioed. They are not popular. They don't bring the views. They don't bring the likes. All their comments are negative. And the opposite is also true of the Israel critical side. Tucker Carlson has the biggest show in the country. Candace Owens, I think, is right there next to him. Then you have people like myself. I'm bigger than ever before, despite being censored and suppressed and canceled and radioactive. The Americans are speaking out loudly and clearly. But the pro-Israel side has a little trick up their sleeve, and this is very intentional, and I told you about this last year. They are hiding behind Donald Trump. To put it very simply, that's the only card they have to play. As they're browbeating Marjorie Greene and Candace and Tucker and me and the rest of them, the only card that they have to play, because they've tried to play every other card. They've tried to say, you're not really conservative or you're not right wing or whatever. The only card they have left to play is to literally cling to Donald Trump's leg and hide behind him in the MAGA movement. And so when the first disavowal came at the Republican Jewish coalition, Randy Fine, this disgusting, evil human being, the congressman from Florida, he goes up to give his speech, and he has a group of his followers stand in front of the stage holding up signs that say, Tucker is not MAGA. That was the angle. They're using Trump, drafting behind him, using him as a Trojan horse to deflect all criticism. They have bribed Trump. They have infiltrated Trump. Miriam Adelson gave him $100 million. These people are all over his administration. Look at J.D. Vance's chief of staff. The guy's a Tikva fellow, Jacob Reeses. He's like a proud, liberal Jewish guy who eventually came over. So the Jewish people are hiding behind Trump, and they're saying, well, if anybody criticizes us, then you're really criticizing Trump. And if you're criticizing Trump, then you're not MAGA. That's their move. That's why Shapiro has glommed onto Trump. That's why Mark Levin has. They were both never Trumpers. In 2016, Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro were never Trumpers. That's back when Trump was America first. But over 10 years, now that they have slowly infiltrated, and now that Trump is bombing Iran and giving Israel aid, and now that he's best buddies with Netanyahu, they meet 4 times this year. Now they're inside and they're saying anybody that's against us is not MAGA. Anybody that's against us, including Tucker, including Marjorie Greene, well, they're out of step with the spirit of the movement. And that was the last card they had to play. Everybody was already against them. Everybody already said, we're sick of the gaslighting, the lying. We're sick of Judeo-Christian kissing the wall. We're sick of the foreign aid bombing your enemies for you. We're sick of the Orwellian censorship surrounding the issue. The only card they had left, and it's a game they're playing, is to tell everybody, well, if you're not with Levin and Randy Fine and war with Iran, then you're not MAGA. And yesterday, Donald Trump took away that last card. Finally, the president was asked directly, what do you think about Tucker Carlson's interview with Nick Fuentes? And Trump gave his answer. He said, I like Tucker. He said, and that's Tucker's job, is to talk to people. You can't tell Tucker he can't interview people. He said, let people decide. Get the word out and let people make up their minds for themselves. And with that, the game is over. Because that's all you have to do. As long as people like myself and Tucker and Marjorie and all of them, as long as people like us can simply get the word out without censorship, without cancel culture, without blacklisting, without suppression, without getting murdered, as long as we are free to get the word out, to speak our minds freely, and as long as the audience is free to make up their own minds, as long as they are free to receive the information on social media, as long as they are free to make a decision as Americans in their conscience, then it's game over for the pro-Israel crowd. Because when you get rid of all these games, when you get rid of the censorship game, ban this guy from Twitter, demonetize him, ban him from PayPal, the blacklisting, the radioactivity, you can't defend Tucker and Tucker can't interview him. Vance has to fire Buckley because Tucker is Buckley's dad and Tucker talked to Nick and Nick said this 10 years ago. As long as you get rid of these games, which are really mind control games, that's all that is. Controlling the flow of information, controlling who is approved, who is credentialed, accredited to give opinions or form people's opinions. Without all that stuff, there is no argument, and that's why none of them will debate. If there was one single legitimate argument that we should support Israel, then Ben Shapiro would have debated me a long time ago. And he would have proven to everybody why I'm wrong and he's right, and why everything I've done was just me being having some sort of pathology. If they had one single argument, Mark Levin would debate Tucker Carlson at America Fest. Tucker is the biggest show in America. Mark Levin, I think, is the biggest show for people over the age of 85. But that's just it. The reason that we have supported Israel and fought these wars and given them all this money, the reason that nobody investigates this conspicuous amount of influence from this one ethnic group, it's not because there isn't legitimate information. It's not because it's false. It's because it is true. And they have used their power through institutions like the ADL, like AIPAC, like the World Jewish Congress, like all these different groups that make up a constellation, which we would call organized Jewry. They have used this influence to shut down the conversation. Anybody that starts that conversation is isolated and destroyed to create a chilling effect. Across the board, they prevent anybody who says these things from having a platform. And if they have a platform, from making money because they take away your bank account. Or if you make money, from talking to anybody legitimate by going after those that associate with the people that open up that conversation. And the moment that somebody says, and in particular President Trump says, let the Americans decide, then the whole thing is over. And this is a story. This is from the Washington Post. We'll read through the comments in particular. It says, quote, President Donald Trump defended Tucker Carlson on Sunday for interviewing white nationalist Nick Fuentes nearly 3 weeks after the former Fox News host triggered backlash within the conservative movement for giving the far-right activist a platform. Speaking to reporters on Sunday night, Trump seemed to shrug off questions about whether Carlson should have invited Fuentes on the podcast. He said, quote, we've had some great interviews with Tucker Carlson, but you can't tell him who to interview. I mean, if he wants to interview Nick Fuentes, I don't know much about him, but if he wants to do it, get the word out, let him. You know, people have to decide. Ultimately, people have to decide. Meeting people, talking to people, like for somebody like Tucker, that's what they do. People are controversial. Some are, some aren't. MAGA has spoken. And unfortunately for Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, Randy Fine, you have lost. You lose. And we win. Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, Randy Fine, Laura Loomer, you are not MAGA. You are not American. You are not America first. And as long as you don't identify first and foremost, as long as your only allegiance is not to the United States, then you will never, ever be American. You will never be able to call yourself America first. You thought you could hide behind Trump with your tricks, your bribery, your money, your influence peddling games. You thought you could hide behind Trump. You thought that anybody attacking you, all of this would be deflected because you're right there at the OHEL in Brooklyn. You're there throwing your little piece of paper on the Rebbe's grave. You lose. And you lose because Trump, maybe on some fundamental level, in this last moment, has chosen his own base of supporters over you people. And I don't know what he'll say about it tomorrow, and I don't know what he'll say about it next week. And who knows? Maybe he'll flip-flop. He has a tendency to do these things. But all he had to say to break the spell was as simple as this: people have a right to decide. That's really what it comes down to. On some level, it is a question of whether the American people still have the right, still have, better said, the sovereignty to make decisions for our own country. Does America have the right to make a decision not to support Israel? Is that an outcome that is even possible? Is that an outcome that will be tolerated or permitted? Can Americans make the decision not to support Israel, or is that unacceptable? Have our Jewish oligarchs like Larry Ellison and Miriam Adelson and the rest of them, have our Jewish oligarchs at the World Jewish Congress and at the Republican Jewish Coalition, have they decided that no, America cannot stop supporting Israel? Americans cannot make that decision. That's why they have to be manipulated. That's why they have to be lied to. That's why they can't listen to certain opinions without pushback, without somebody arguing or interrupting them all the time. That's the fundamental question. Do Americans have the right to speak to each other about our support for this country? Do we have the right to make the decision to stop? And MAGA has spoken. The answer is yes, we do. And with that, Trump has effectively said, let the best man win. Trump has effectively recused himself, and he's abandoned the pro-Israel lobby. He is saying, you have to fight it out amongst yourselves. Get the word out and let people decide. If the people like Tucker and the people like Nick, he says, then so be it. And if they don't, then I'll go the other way. Trump, in typical Trump fashion, has recused himself, and he now wants us to fight it out. So I think the MAGA civil war will go on. They will continue to try to fight Tucker and Marjorie Greene. They will continue to try to cancel me. And we will continue to get the truth out. We will continue to spread the message. But the piece that has been taken off of the board, the card that has been removed, is the Trump card. The pro-Israel lobby now has to win the argument. They have to now win the battle without any kind of support from the president, without being able to draft behind him and his brand. And I think that without that, they really have nothing, and it's only a matter of time. Just wait for 2026 and 2028. And now here is the kicker. Here's the punchline for all of it. So Trump has declined to disassociate from Tucker, and it only makes sense. Why is that? It's because Tucker is more popular than Trump. Tucker's favorability among Republicans is 62%. So Tucker is massively popular inside the right wing. Trump doesn't want to alienate him. And if Tucker saw it fit to have me on the show, and if it was a popular show, I'm sure Trump doesn't want to alienate Tucker. But now this has put every other Republican politician in a similar situation, which is they will have to make a decision whether to disavow Tucker and to stand firmly with the pro-Israel lobby, or if they want to maybe move closer to Tucker Carlson to earn the support from his base. This is where real politics begins. And this is the message for 2026. This is so important. We have to take a look, just like the Israel lobby is. And in 2026, we need to be keeping a list of names. And by we, I mean America First. Any politician that has disavowed Tucker Carlson, we have to get the word out. Don't vote for them. Vote for their primary candidate or their primary opponent. And if they win their primary, don't vote for them in the general. That has to be the message. This is the only way to hold their feet to the fire. This is the only way to make it work. This is what I said in 2021 and 22 and 24. We have to use our vote in the affirmative and in the negative. We need to create the list. If you're with Tucker, you have our vote. If you disavow Tucker, you don't. If you cannot take a stand for America First, then you have no business being an elected official in the American government. That is the message. In 2026, in the midterms, we are showing up, and the Groypers are showing up with us. If you disavow Tucker, you will not get the votes. If you disavow the Israel lobby like Thomas Massie, we will show up for you. And by we, I don't just mean the Groypers. I mean everybody that is America First. Ian Carroll and Anna Kasparian and Tucker and all of them. If you're America First, we will help you. If you are America Last, we will punish you. And the GOP has a decision to make. If they are willing to go America First, then maybe they can keep their majority. Or they can hold off the worst losses in the face of the Democrats. But if the Republican Party doubles down on America Last, then they will be finished in America. And we have to be willing to let them go extinct. Have to be willing to play hardball. We can no longer make the compromise that we will let you put America last in order to defeat the Democrats. No, America First is a precondition. And we will single you out. If you're America Last, we will make you lose. If you're America First, we will help you win. And we are outcome independent. If Republicans keep the House, then God bless. If they lose it, so be it. We're not going to tolerate an America Last GOP anymore. 2016 was about this. In some way, this entire fight for the past 10 years has been about this. We are not going to allow the GOP to slide back into serving the global special interests, the Israel lobby, international banks, Wall Street, and Silicon Valley. That's the call to action. So Trump said, let them fight. I say, bring it on now. What do you got now, Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro? You just got the rug pulled out from under you. There goes your sugar daddy, Shapiro and Mark Levin. You have nobody else to hide behind. No more tricks, no more cancellation, no more censorship. It's just you and me, pal. You and me, Shapiro and me, Levin and me, and Tucker and the others. And now I think they're going to be a lot less confident. Mark Levin says, who's platforming Marjorie Taylor Greene? What, are you going to cancel all of them? Good luck. Mark Levin says, we're taking names. We're going to make our decisions in 26. So are we, fat boy. So are we, fat man. We are doing the same exact thing. Let's see who they listen to. Let's see who the politicians really listen to. Will they listen to the voters when we have activists showing up in their district? Will they listen to the Joe Kent effect, or will they listen to you? That's the fight. That's the battle. So we're gearing up for 2026. You want to get involved? Get ready. You want to get involved? This is going to be a nationwide campaign. We are taking names. And if you are disavowing Tucker, you're getting people in your district. They're coming to your events. They're coming to your district. We are going to hurt you politically in your reelection campaign. It has to be this way. And we're calling on everybody to do it from coast to coast. Wherever you are, this is going to be the mission. So people say, how can I get involved? How can we support America first? This is politics. People say, we're not going to vote our way out of it. You're right. We have to make them feel our presence. Politically speaking, we have to be very careful. It's a very chaotic timeline, but 2026, I'll see you there. Ben Shapiro, you bring your people. Let's see how that goes. Shapiro, Levin. Hey, Mark Levin, why don't you put out the call on, what are you at, talk radio? Let's see how many of the nursing home members from the villages you can get to turn out nationwide, and let's see how many people I can get to turn out. Mark Levin and Shapiro huddling in their fortress in Surfside or whatever in South Florida. Let's see how many people you can bring out to the districts. Let's see how many people I can bring out there. And we'll see where the GOP's loyalty lies. That's the question. So that's that. But we're going to move on. We're going to get into the Epstein files, and then we're going to wrap it up. We'll do super chats. So, and look, I saw some people saying this. They said, you said MAGA is dead. Then you said, thank you, Mr. President. I have to say, this is the best day in Trump's second term yet, I think. Trump taking a stand on this issue may be the most important thing he has done so far this year. He bombed Iran. He tried to cover up the Epstein files. He gave Israel $12 billion in aid. He has not deported nearly enough people. He did not schedule F 50,000 federal employees. But if all that he did is deflate the Israel lobby, if all that he did is decline to cancel Tucker Carlson, that might just be enough to create an opening. So I've said it before, I'm not a Trump hater. When Trump does something bad, I criticize. When Trump does something good, I praise. And this is maybe the best thing Trump has done all year. So if he keeps it up, man, this is the kind of Trump that we wanted to see from the beginning. Where was this Trump the whole year? Trump says, fine, release the Epstein files. Oh, let Tucker talk to whoever he wants. Where was this Trump from the beginning? I wish we had this Trump when Bibi bombed Iran. So I like to see it. Very solid move, Mr. President. I knew you had it in you. I always knew deep down you still had it in you. We love this guy, but he's just been disappointing us. Please, let us support you again, but you have to do the right thing. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. President. I knew you had it in you the whole time. All right, but we're going to move on. We're going to get into the Epstein files here. Like I said, there was another big breakthrough today. So yesterday, Trump refused to disavow Tucker. On the same day, he said that we would release the Epstein files. Huge breaking news. I have to say, though, it's not the best development ever. And let me tell you why. So yesterday, Trump posts on Truth Social that he is finally relenting. And after months, literally months, of doing everything to cover this up, finally, Trump says yesterday, all right, release the files. He says, it's become too big of a distraction. Let's just release the files and get it over with. Okay, great. Here's the issue. The files were going to be released this week anyway. Okay? Last week, you have a bill. You have Thomas Massie from the Republican side, Ro Khanna from the Democrat side. They are literally forcing the bill to be brought to the floor for a vote. They're bypassing the speaker. They're bypassing the Republican majority. And not only were they forcing a vote on the bill, which would release all the files, but it was anticipated that over 100 Republicans would defect from the president and vote for the bill, which would release the files. So what was going to happen on Wednesday, regardless, is that probably half or maybe all of the Republican conference was going to vote in defiance of the president, in open, public, explicit defiance, to release these Epstein files, which might credibly contain embarrassing or damning evidence of Trump's friendship with Epstein.
That's a good episode.
That was going to happen regardless. And last week, Trump was still bringing people into the Oval Office, including Lauren Boebert, trying to convince them to prevent this from happening. And so he failed to cover it up. He failed to convince Republicans to be complicit in the cover-up, to be an accomplice. Him and Mike Johnson failed to prevent it from coming to the floor. It was going to come out in a couple of days anyway. And now, just days before this inevitable embarrassment and mutiny by his own party, now Trump says, all right, yeah, you know, I guess you're right, release the files. Really? So Trump has merely acquiesced to what would have been inevitable. And this is a story, this is from the New York Times. It says, quote, President Trump denounced calls for the release of the Epstein files as a Democrat hoax. He dispatched aides to warn Republicans that backing it would be seen as a hostile act. He placed personal calls to those who dared to do so, even dispatched his attorney general and FBI director to meet with one in the White House Situation Room to get her to flip. In the end, none of it worked. And on Sunday night, Mr. Trump did something he has rarely been forced to do. He caved in the face of pressure from his party and called on House Republicans to go ahead and back a bill ordering his DOJ to release all of its investigative files on the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. By Monday, he was saying, sure, he would sign the legislation he has spent months trying to kill. It's not clear that doing so would have any concrete impact. Mr. Trump could have ordered the release of the files without an act of Congress and has not. It remains to be seen whether his DOJ will ultimately release the files anyway. But his reversal has opened the floodgates of Republicans backing the bill, which is expected to come to a vote in the House as early as Tuesday and appears likely to pass unanimously. Unanimously, every member of the House is going to vote for this.
Wow.
It has also raised questions about Mr. Trump's ability to impose his will on Republicans and the nation, suggesting a slip in his iron grip on his party amid his falling poll numbers, rising prices, and rifts within his political coalition. For months, House Republicans had dreaded the prospect of a vote on releasing the files. Such a moment would leave them torn between pressure from a fervent base demanding that they support the release of the files and a vengeful president demanding the opposite. Mr. Trump's about-face was a bow to the inevitable that came after it had become clear that many, if not most, Republicans were planning to support the measure, wary of appearing to aid in a cover-up for Jeffrey Epstein. Even Representative Troy Nehls, the Republican of Texas, was now on board just days after he wrote on social media that he would be a hard no on the release of the Epstein hoax, designed by Democrats to distract us from the winning of President Trump and his administration. So it's like I said, Trump is not actually supporting the release of the files. He is acquiescing because the release of the files has now become inevitable. And there is some credit due, I suppose. It's positive that Trump has now gotten behind it, even if it's too little too late. But still, and I said this from the very beginning, we have to wonder what exactly is in the files. I said this from the start. I don't necessarily believe that Trump is on the island having sex with underage girls or complicit in some kind of sexual abuse. I actually think that's unlikely. But the problem is that if Trump has been engaged in an active cover-up basically since the beginning of the second term, it creates a very negative perception. It creates the appearance of impropriety, and we almost have to draw a negative inference based on that. And you just go over the timeline. In February, he basically tried to trick the public. He had all the MAGA influencers at the White House, gave them these fake binders and said, here's the Epstein files, take them, look, here it is. And then they went public with what was in the binders, and it was things that had already been disclosed. And so you have to wonder, what was that? If Trump never intended to release the files, but he pulled that stunt, clearly that was a trick. They tried to deceive the public. They tried it, and then they failed.
Hello.
They went through the motions because they knew the public wanted the files. They knew they promised the files. They wanted credit for it, and they wanted those questions to go away, so they tried to psych us out. And then when the public realized, they said, well, we're going to release them later. Then Trump ordered the FBI to look through the files privately. And the FBI found that Trump's name is all over them. They told that to the president. When asked about this, Trump said he had no knowledge of that. That was a lie. Then, a couple months after this, in July, the Trump DOJ comes out and says, well, there are no Epstein files. Those don't exist. This week, the Democrats compel the release of 20,000 emails, and Trump's name is all over them. And this just proves it. You tried to trick us. You tried to postpone it. You tried to bury it. You lied and said there were no files. You lied and said you didn't know what was in them. And in the end, when Democrats release the files, it proves they exist. There are files that have not been released. Your name is in them. And they do actually raise serious questions. And so it became an inevitability that Trump would have to buckle on this. But it's like I said, I don't know necessarily that Trump is in them in a criminal way, but if he went to such lengths to prevent them from coming out, like I said, those are pretty extraordinary machinations. He did not want these to come out. He was actively burning political capital, preventing Congress from acting, calling his allies his enemies, calling them traitors, calling his voters traitors. You have to think this was almost a years-long campaign, alienating supporters, political allies, lying, postponing, covering up. Like every trick in the book, every form of soft power was used to prevent the files from getting out. Why? We have no choice but to assume, at the minimum, it's something very embarrassing and damaging. At the most, it might be criminal. Now the release of the files has become inevitable. And finally, Trump says, oh, all right, well, now I support the release of the files. Okay, well, that's because they were going to come out anyway. You were trying to prevent their release 3 days ago, and now you say you support them being released. By the way, it goes without saying, Trump could release the files himself. He could sign an executive order as the president of the United States, and the DOJ and the FBI could release them without an act of Congress, without any of it. They could have done that from day one. They released the Amelia Earhart files. They released the JFK files. They could have done it in exactly the same way. Now that Trump is getting behind the release, it makes me think that they're going to come out anyway. And maybe there's nothing criminal, but at the minimum, it's something very embarrassing. But it's a political reality that he has just had to accept at this point. And you have to wonder, why did he not do this from the very beginning? Because even if the files get released this week, and I don't mean to be this guy, but it's just true. Let's say that the DOJ is compelled to release the files by an act of Congress, and maybe they release something. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Let's say they even release something. Can the trust between the base and Trump really ever be repaired? And I don't mean that purely as a rhetorical question, although I suppose it kind of is one. But can you truly repair the breach in trust? At the end of the day, Trump would not have released the files if he could get away with it. And he tried to. He tried to trick us. He tried to lie to us. And it failed. Now we're going to see it. And now we're supposed to say, oh, okay, well, I guess we trust Trump again. He tried to get away with it and failed. So then that begs the question, well, who really is he? And what else has he tried to get away with? And what has he succeeded in getting away with? You have to wonder if he promised he would deliver on the Epstein files, and only because there was this groundswell of opposition from both parties did he finally relent and keep the promise. Is he even capable of keeping any other promise? Is he willing to keep any other promise?
It might have been
the one guy on the Republican side that made this possible, Thomas Massie. And that guy is Trump's number one enemy now. Trump is making fun of his wife. Trump is calling for him to be primaried. AIPAC is marshaling millions of dollars in Thomas Massie's district to prevent him from winning his seat again. So it's too little, too late. It's like I said before. Just because Trump has now finally relented against the inevitable, now that he has acquiesced to America first, no, sorry, you don't get to climb back onto your throne and enjoy the same credibility. What needs to happen now is a transition. Trump is a lame duck. 2026, most likely he's going to lose the House. 2027, people are going to start to run. Here is what I want. Here are my demands. I wish Trump would be better. At this point, too little, too late. What I want is for Trump to do the right thing, maybe arguably the thing that he couldn't do as president. And what that is to guarantee that his successor can take it further than he can. That's my expectation. I think this administration is cooked. I think he's cooked. I don't think that his reputation can recover from this. I don't think his administration can recover. I think they're basically finished. And I'm not going to be one of these guys on Twitter, rah, rah, rah. Let's see if we can, get Trump to fire the bad people and hire the good people. We're sort of past that. For me, the question is whether Trump can redeem himself by ensuring that his successor and the heir apparent of MAGA is going to be somebody that is America first. I don't think he can salvage his own administration. I don't think he could even salvage his own reputation in some ways. I think people are very black-pilled, although there's some slim chance maybe he could turn it around. I think the biggest thing that he can do is to, at the minimum, not stand in the way and at the most actually help us realize the vision that he could not in the past 10 years, which is America first. He got into this in 2016. Things were so messed up. They fought him so hard. Things became complicated. We all understand that. We all, and maybe we can't even imagine the pressure he's under, but we could certainly respect it. Nobody has fought harder, more perseverance, been under more pressure. Nobody has that inner strength that Trump has. And we can all recognize that if he fell short, it wasn't for a lack of trying. It's just only one man can only do so much. And now that the ambitions and the hopes of MAGA are falling short, now that that is coming up on maybe the clock is running out here, reality is setting in, Trump's age is getting the better of him, these other things are getting the better of him. I think now the only thing that can be done is that Trump has to facilitate a transition to a younger, more ideologically pure version of America first that will take the baton and take it to the next stage. That's of critical importance at this point. Yeah, and on some level, I love Trump as a person,
more ideologically,
but he has to recognize that he can't give the future to Ben Shapiro. He can't give the future to Mark Levin and the GOP. This is me, the guy that volunteered for Trump in New Hampshire, that believed in him in 2016. We are begging Trump,
getting better at not
hand off the baton to a new generation that will actually put America first. The worst thing that he could do, and this is what would truly be unforgivable, is if he passed the baton to somebody that would bring us back to where we started before Trump began. Somebody that would, rather than realize or fight for America first, would betray it and betray the imagination or the inspiration of Trump from the very beginning, rather than try to realize it. That would be the worst betrayal. So I look at Trump's role at this point. He's battered. He's war wounded. He's tired. He's old. It's been a long journey, and no one, you really can't be too upset with him in some ways because he's only a man. But his last act, I think his last most important act as president has to be to guarantee a smooth succession, because I don't think you recover from this. He tried to fight the Epstein files. He tried to fight the deep state. The administration is what it is. It's cooked. All he can do now is make sure that he doesn't stand in the way of the next gen. Marjorie Greene, Thomas Massie, Tucker Carlson. I don't believe J.D. Vance is part of that. He'll have to prove himself, although I would be skeptical no matter what. Frankly, I don't consider him a part of that. But he needs to get out of the way at this point and let the real America first rise. That was always my issue, even last year. So that's that. And we'll see what he does. The ball is in his court. The House may vote tomorrow or maybe Wednesday. Then the Senate will take it up. And then it's up to the DOJ if they'll even decide to release or what to release. They have some discretion as far as that is concerned. I'm not even hopeful. At this point, I think it speaks for itself. What's in the files, what's not in the files. Who even trusts it at this point? Who even trusts him? Who's to say they didn't burn half the files? Who's to say they're going to give us everything? Nobody trusts it at this point. So that's really going to be the bigger conversation in the next 3 years. But that's that. We're going to move on. We're going to take a look at our super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say about all this. I'm going to take a look here and we'll see. I'm going to get my headset. All right. All right, let's take a look. Monday again. Got to psych myself up. Another week of super chats. Let's get mentally prepared here. Okay, let's take a look.
Mr. Baggetter sent $20. I feel the same way about sharing a living space with a significant other. Me and my GF's future idea is that we'll have 2 separate bedrooms so I can have my alone time / game room in my room with all my nerd shit. Still spend nights together most times, but you need time alone as a guy. It's no Brutalist Tower, but just an idea.
Are we really doing this? We're doing it this early again. I'm going to save that maybe for later. We don't need to re-engage on that.
Headmaster69 sent $20. Jewish reporter attacked Tucker's son over anti-Semitism and Vance defended him. Does it sound to you like Vance is drawing the line between Jews and Christians? Do you get the impression Vance is sending the message to Jews to act more Christian or get out of the coalition?
I don't trust anything that Vance says, because I think, will say anything. And he has said everything. He said that Trump was a Nazi until he recognized that Trump was going to be the guy. So I don't trust a word that Vance says. I don't trust a word that comes out of his mouth. And if you think that Vance is becoming based, well, take a look at his chief of staff. Go ahead, Google it. Take a look at Vance's chief of staff and see what various Israeli media has to write about him. So Vance's chief of staff is this Jewish guy.
Fuck.
He goes around telling people, no, don't worry about what Vance says. Trust me, we've got him. So I don't actually care what he says. And if you take away nothing else from this show, it should be this. It does not matter what they say, what they profess. What matters is all of it taken together. Their personnel, their donors, their policy positions, who they associate with. And yes, also what they say too. So the biggest mistake you idiots could make is this is why I call you goyim. This is why I call you cattle. This is why the Jews are right to say that. Because the reason you fall for it over and over again, why do you keep falling for it? Why do you vote for Trump and Trump betrays you and you're surprised? It's because you people are so credulous. You're so simple. You take everything at face value. They're politicians. It's their job to tell you things you want to hear. That's their job. Their job is to come up with convoluted marketing strategies and to manufacture emotionally based appeals to you, to endear themselves to you, to earn your support, to earn credibility. That's their job. So people say, Vance said this. You think he changed? It means nothing. Politicians will say anything, especially someone like Vance. Who even is this guy? Like, seriously, where did he come from? Does anyone even know? He wrote press
What's his
releases for the
name?
Marines. Then he had a series of no-show jobs in Silicon Valley working for powerful patrons. Then he became a senator, okay? That's what he did. For some reason, he was selected to write a New York Times bestseller about hillbillies. He was a nobody. Who was J.D. Vance before the book? He was some desk Marine who then went to Yale, a breeding ground for the CIA. Then he got a bunch of no-show tech jobs from Peter Thiel, his sugar daddy, where he wrote this book about his Meemaw. And then he took his book on the road and he went to all the most powerful people and sold the book. Then he became a senator. Now he's the vice president. Nobody finds that weird? He was calling Trump a Nazi and said Trump is worse than Hitler, and he voted for Evan McMullin. Now he's his #1 fan. And you're telling me, oh, well, but Vance said something good. I think I like him. That's all of you people. Do you see what Vance said? He's looking good. That's why, then that is why you will never, ever have sovereignty. Because you are too foolish. You have to look at what people do, not just what they say. You have to look at who they owe. Who are their benefactors? Who are their patrons? Who is their personnel? Because that tells you a lot more. And people are always saying that I attack J.D. Vance's family. I'm not attacking his family. I'm not attacking his family at all. I'm saying that Vance is in a mixed race, a family. And I'm saying that that tells you a lot more about his values than anything that he says will. Like, that's weird. He goes to Yale and marries Indian royalty. Like, her family is connected with the ruling party in India. Okay, Usha Vance, she's like a second-gen Indian immigrant from SoCal. She's probably super liberal. And Vance writes in his book, I married her because I wanted to get as far away from my family who was so dysfunctional as possible. Like, that tells you something about who he is. So, you know, he can be butthurt about that, and everybody can be butthurt about that. But, like, his chief of staff is a Tikva Fund fellow. His wife is probably some SoCal-educated West Indian second-gen immigrant who's super liberal. He was a never Trumper who voted for Evan McMullin. We don't know where he came from. He's tight with Peter Thiel. And people go, oh, I think I really like what Vance has been saying. I mean, that would be like watching an advertisement for, McDonald's. Or you go to a restaurant, it says, we have America's #1 cup of coffee. It's like that scene in Elf when Will Ferrell goes and they say, we have the world's best coffee. This is the best coffee. It's like you can't, that's marketing. It's advertising. You know, what Vance says, it's like a commercial. It's like a McDonald's commercial. Of course, they're going to show you the sizzling beef on the fryer. Of course, they're going to show you the melted cheese and the perfect bun with the right amount of sesame seeds. Of course, you're going to show, they literally paint the burger to make it look more appetizing. That's what that is. And you people eat it up like that's not what it is. Vance is saying things. Who cares what he says? Trump said a lot of base things. Look at what happened. Trump said mass deportations. How's that going? Trump said no new wars. How's that going? Yeah, they say a lot of things, and you think Vance would be better? What would give you that impression? Why? Why would Vance be better? So, no, you can't be doing that.
Algernon Sydney sent $20. Thoughts on the new Ken Burns? Released last night? Seems optimally timed. On board for infiltration, but a broader movement is happening and national identity is important. 10/10 recommend Gordon Wood as Groy per reading.
I don't know. I didn't see that.
Glenview Grow I sent $20. I was baptized this weekend. Thank you for all you do. Christ is king.
Congrats.
Shanessa
Love to
sent
hear it.
$111. Simple odds percent there's real pictures of Trump sucking D.
That's probably 0, but thank you for the big super chat. I'm sure that's fake.
Arian Grow I sent $100. Instead of 2XL, could you just do an XL doll? Still excludes the fats while helping out the dolls. Anyway,
Okay.
still bought the XL, so if they don't fit, I'll.
Thank
Grow
you.
Hyper Fitness sent $50. Will the protests in Mexico be used as an excuse to crack down on the Grow Wipers? Will it impact the AF movement at all?
That makes no sense.
Amanda Koopa sent $81. Love the show. I've been watching for a few months. I name dropped you in a song that came out today, so check it out if you're bored later. Raccoons keep dreaming. Now just floating.
Is it a good song? Yeah, maybe I'll check that out.
Thomas Cruz sent $50. Tucked flannel into the khakis with no belt was kind of wild. NGL.
Okay.
Wang Roip sent $25. Nick, I want a shirt, but I'm really dull. I don't care about the. Rapist Hitler sent $25. Shapiro finally started saying glaze instead of gloss on his show after you corrected him.
Rapist
Bro is definitely
Hitler.
tapped in.
His name's
Well, what's
Rapist
crazy is
Hitler.
that now we know that he just didn't know the lingo. Because he kept saying that. He was going around for weeks saying Tucker Carlson is glossing Nazis. He's glossing. And people were saying, what the fuck are you saying? What are you talking about?
Glazing.
He's glossing Nazis. It's like, what are you talking about? Glossing? And so at first I thought maybe I don't know what he means, but then I realized, no, he means glazing. But he's so out of touch. He should have just kept saying glossing, honestly, because now that he said glaze, now it just proved that he was getting it wrong for 3 weeks, saying gloss when he meant glaze because he's an out-of-touch boomer. Which just goes to show, like, why do you think you have any right to talk about anything? You don't even know what you're talking about. You are so out of touch. You should just kept saying glossing forever. Because then at the minimum, people just would have been confused. Now we know you're just unk. Saying gloss instead of glaze. Sheesh. So yeah, that was
That's
rough.
Herman Highway sent $25. You saved my life, Nick. I was an intent porn addict, but thanks to you I got on the right path. I now dedicate my life to God. I also became a eunuch. Yes, I had myself castrated. It was needed. I absolutely do not recommend it to anyone. But I was becoming so sex obsessed that it ruined everything else.
What?
Is that
Dead
real?
Smiles Groy percent $20. A
No,
boy becoming a
that's
man when he
not
plays his
real,
first sweet
Nick.
platformer like Psycho
Come
Soldier
on,
or Athena.
no.
When I play these
Don't
games,
let
I
him
remember that
troll
these
you.
heroines fight for a just and Catholic. Luca Cap sent $25. Get into gold. Drop the Bitcoin fugue as he can't have get wiped out from something dumb as that. Slim Grow percent $21. Been wearing my America First hat while delivering for UPS. My warehouse is full of AF watchers. The generational run continues.
Well,
God
be
bless.
careful.
Saluting face
Be
emoji.
careful with that. You don't want to lose your
Don
job.
Dade sent $200. Alice sees 12 trees. Bob sees 8. No tree is seen by both people. Each day I ask Alice, are there 18 or 20 trees in total on the compound? She can answer or pass. If she passes, I ask Bob.
I wanna
If he
meet
passes, I
that
call the next day with the
UPS
same
kid.
question in the same order. If either answers wrong, I kill
Yeah.
both. If one answers right, I free both. They can't talk to each other in any way. How can either answer with certainty?
Thank you for the big super chat. Do you think anybody's
200.
playing that game right
Lord
now?
Kalzoomer sent $20. Went to a kosher restaurant in a Jewish area and they called me a goy. Guys next to me were talking about flipping apartments in Israel for 80,000 shekels and selling them for 5 million. Then they started talking about the Jew haters and how people really only either love Jews or hate them.
That's
United Church
crazy.
of America sent $100. Your sacrifice doesn't go unnoticed. Jesus symbolizes sacrifice for truth. Our young men must grasp this concept. It's a necessity of life. We must all embody truth and be willing to sacrifice
So
for it.
true. Thank you for the
Pudong
big
sent
super
$30.
chat.
Sorry if you've spoken about this before. Fairly new listener. If we deport immigrants, legal or otherwise, and debrown the U.S., then how would we deal with a possible population crash? Tough it out? Sharp entitlement cuts? Social security reform?
It literally doesn't matter. It literally
Shut
does
up,
not matter.
Nick. Answer.
What are you talking about? If we mass deport people, then how do we deal with the economy? It doesn't matter. It literally does not matter. Do you want to know why? Because even if we went into another Great Depression and it was the worst case scenario, in 100 years, we would still have America. If we don't, then we won't have America. In 100 years, we'll be a minority and we'll look like South Africa. So it will probably be better economically because at the same time that immigrants, a lot of them work and a lot of them spend money, at the same time, they're also taking up a lot of government resources, schools, hospitals, housing, you name it. So I also think that if you have a country with a little bit more coherence, I think the birth rate naturally goes up anyway. I think if people start to feel like America's a real nation, maybe they start to have kids again. If there's a
Definitely.
real sense of nationhood. But I to tell you the truth, I don't think the economic fallout really should be taken into consideration.
Abbott Hayes sent $25. If you kill a cockroach, you are a hero. If you kill a butterfly, you're evil. Morals have aesthetic criteria. Nietzsche's way of saying sub 5? Opinion discarded. Otto God bless sent $25. If you want a good precog into the American marriage, read Parker's back. You have your role. Do not conflate it. Leave it despair. Too bad about any future kids, but the message enables many more. When you come to Ohio, make sure you get some Buckeyes, too. Ex-Critical Bishop sent $21. Hey Big Broy, can you help me better understand your position on people, society being better off, with not being allowed to read the Bible?
Nope.
Thankful Convert sent $100. Hey Nick, first time message and I need to say thanks.
No, if you don't get it, you're an idiot.
Thankful Convert sent $100. Hey Nick, first time message and I need to say thanks. This past year you flipped this Jew into a Catholic. Today my brother asked for my help
Let's
converting
go.
so he can marry his GF properly.
Wow.
Crazy enough mom converted from Catholic to Jew for pops. Glad to have my family back with Christ. That's thanks to you Nick. Also I bought hats, not tiny ones.
Love to hear it, man. Thank you for the big super chat, and I love that. I love to hear that. Christ is the only way. I want Jews to convert to Catholicism, so I love to hear that, man. God bless you.
Bobby
Very
Groy sent
good.
$20. My ex timeline used to be mostly Groyper posts and memes, but now it is like 98% pro-Israel, pro-Jew posts, anti-Fuentes posts, and I didn't do anything to cause that. Elon is working deviously behind the scenes.
Yeah, the timeline, I've noticed that too. My whole timeline, it's like, it's all yellow ribbons, Israel flags, Hebrew, with like 3,000 followers. And it's like, oy vey, shut it down. It's like, when did I follow all? When did I indicate that I wanted this content on my timeline? So yeah, they definitely changed the algorithm.
Based Aussie sent $150. I love the playlist. You got good taste in music, my nigga.
Thanks. Thank you for the big super chat. I'm
Based
glad you
off,
like it. Yeah, well, I put a lot of work into it, so I'm glad you appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Swank Humphrey sent $30. Hey boss baby. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the John Doyle show is here. Generational run is over.
Yeah. Oh, so I heard the John Doyle show. Well, he's only been sucking off Glenn Beck for 5 years. It's about time. I actually congratulate him. It's finally paid off. Because that would really suck if this guy was on his hands and knees getting calluses and rug burn. And I mean, I can't imagine the psychological effects
I like Lumbeck.
of glazing and blowing Glenn Beck for 5 years. And this whole time, they never gave him a show. They said the best we could do is you can appear on other shows 3 times a week or 3 times a month. So I'm actually happy for him. Good for him. It's about time. Look, he sucked the right people off, and now he finally got his show. Like, good for him. It's sort of like when you put a quarter in a gumball machine, you crank the machine, and then you get a gumball. Like, I'm glad that he got what he paid for. I'm glad that he got what he paid for in terms of his dignity, his integrity, his independence as a man. I'm glad. And now that he's working for Glenn Beck, well, this is how you know you've made it. When you're working at the Blaze for Glenn Beck, dude, just tell everybody, tell all the kids that. They're going to be like, whoa. John Doyle is at the Blaze TV. He's making big moves. This is serious stuff. All the kids are watching Lomez and Rufo and the Doyle show. Oh, man. And Glenn Beck, they're eating it up. They're all crying about how much they love Israel. No, but really. Honestly, though, I do congratulate him because that is unironically what he did. When we were friends, Doyle told me that he literally had to lie through his teeth to the CEO of Blaze years ago when they brought him on and basically said, oh, of course I love Israel. That's the difference. The reason that nerd has an institutional show at Blaze and the reason that I don't is because on some level he is willing to go into the room. He's willing to go on the casting couch and say, of course I support Israel. Of course I love Israel. And I think eventually he just started believing it. He said it so much. So, good for him. Now he gets to be their version of me. He gets to be the cargo cult version of me to get all the Goyim back on the plantation, John Goyle. So I hope it goes well for him. I hope it's worth the money.
JRB sent $50. Hey Nick, my friend always gives me shit for liking Wham. Thanks for calling him gay last Friday and defending musical talent.
Well, look, I'm not like a Wham fan. I just like that song Last Christmas.
Ryan Patterson sent $25. Been a listener for years and agree WU on 90% of issues. So since Trump's a shill, do you think Kamala would have been better?
Oh,
If Vance
brother.
isn't the answer, is Newsom or Pritzker better for
my
28?
gosh.
Do you think MTG or Massey be an upgrade over Trump? You call out problems but never say who you think would actually do better.
Okay, you stop watching my show. Go watch something else. You're literally too stupid. How do you watch this show night after night and the question is, but wouldn't Kamala have been worse?
Like, how much more can we explain it? That mindset is how they keep us controlled. We are at war with Iran, but people think we won. That's the problem. There are no mass deportations. We are at war in the Middle East. We are at war in Ukraine, but Trump has legitimized it. Don't you understand? But, you know, for you, you just can't think on those levels like that. For you, it's like, oh, well, the economy's better. Okay, but structurally, it's the same. The debt is $38 trillion. The deficit is $2 trillion. The government is insolvent. Do you think that Trump's economy being a little better really changes anything? It doesn't. It doesn't change anything at all. And Trump is giving weapons to Ukraine. Yeah, he tried to win Russia over. It didn't work. Trump bombed Iran. Trump banned anti-Semites from coming into America. And people say, but Kamala would have been worse. Here's the difference. If Kamala won, half the country would not accept the results of the election. Half the country would believe the government is illegitimate. As the economy faltered and the wars got worse, people would turn on the government. Her approval rating would be like 25%. And that might have propelled actual change. What Trump does, even though it's slightly better, is he releases the pressure. He re-legitimizes the government, re-legitimizes the institutions, and all that does is it buys them more maneuverability and more time and more power. It makes our job harder, which is we're trying to turn over the table. So this is something that actually re-entrenches the system. This empowers the status quo. So, you know, but how many times can we explain that? If you don't get that, seriously, watch another show. I'm not joking. If you can't understand that, I have no regrets about this. Go watch Steven Crowder, and they will tell you vote red, hate blue for the rest of your life while you are being replaced, while you are being enslaved by debt, while we are fighting and dying to build Israel. While our country collapses, you will keep voting and working and paying your taxes until you are dead while you are replaced and your birthright is stolen from you. Okay? So go watch Crowder, and they'll give you the talking points from the GOP, courtesy of fucking BlackRock, Blackstone, Palantir, and the Israel lobby. Honestly, I have no time for that anymore. Would Kamala actually have been better? What does that even mean? How is this fucking better? Is this better? Why? Because Trump cut the corporate tax rate? How is this better? Do you see Trump deporting millions of illegals? I don't see that. You know, it's marginally better. Is that what it's all for? To be marginally better than the Democrats? You're such a goy. It's not even funny. This is why you deserve to be ruled. I've said it over and over again. It's like with the Vance question, but Vance says good stuff. But Trump, you know, it seems slightly better than Kamala. Okay, man. That's how this whole thing works. It's convincing you that there is a choice, that you have a choice. You know, you don't have it. There is no real choice at all. You know? Look at this big, beautiful bill. Was that a choice? Look at the government shutdown. Was that a choice? No. It's all BS. Nothing has ever, in 10 years, all this fighting, think about it, 10 years, Trump wins, Biden wins, Trump wins again, Republicans win and lose the House a dozen times. And what has really changed? Nothing. Free trade is still the law. We're at war with Russia. We have millions more illegals than when we started. And if anything, the Republican Party is getting less radical, not more radical. So that's just a wrong mentality.
Groyper mom sent $25. Nick, I'm a 45-year-old mom of two and a new Groyper, but I've noticed when I watch the show I can't help but gaze into your loving eyes and imagine swinging you around the room by your head after we make sweet love.
Okay, that's just
Fuentes Slaughter sent $3. Someone else asked me about it. I pretended I didn't. I coyly replied, Fuentes? Sounds like a bullfighter. Turns out, there was a Mexican bullfighter named Nico Fuentes who died after being gored by a mechanical bull that went haywire at a Hooters in Tijuana last year. He was only 27. Weird or what? Cody Wood sent $20. Jews versus Rome. What a joke. Barry Strauss is a cuck who probably got vaccinated. And who exactly is BB referring to when he says they have to win the second time? We all know it's Christianity he speaks of. Anyways, enjoy a slice of cheese pizza on me. Sabian sent $20. Oh, sounds like somebody's. James Anderson sent $25. I used to watch Charlie Kirk show, but TP won't talk about Israel anymore, and I thought they were willing to discuss any topic. For example, when Charlie debated Ben Shapiro and said Israel is ethnically cleansing Gaza. Why don't they talk about Israel anymore? Is Erica Kirkin on something?
They
R.I.P.
didn't.
Charlie.
Oh my gosh. When did they ever debate Israel? Charlie Kirk did not debate Ben Shapiro. Charlie Kirk laundered Ben Shapiro's talking points on his show. There's a big difference. Do you want to know why that's different? Because Charlie Kirk did not push back on a single thing Ben Shapiro said. When Israel bombed Qatar, which is a big problem, Charlie Kirk brought on Shapiro to explain why it was awesome. And all Charlie Kirk did was play devil's advocate and say, so what would you say to someone that said this? What about this? What about that? And he just let Shapiro give his Hasbara talking points. How many times did Charlie Kirk talk about Israel from, let's say, June until September? Like twice? That's what I'm talking about. Like, you people have no idea what you're talking about. The idea that Turning Point was this free speech zone for Israel, it just isn't true. At all. There was no debate. That's just not, it didn't happen.
Fraud. Virgo sent $25. If astrology isn't real, then why is every man born between January and December evil? Praetorian Gord sent $100. Tucker is shilling a new grass-fed beef tallow-fried potato chip, but after hearing there aren't any grass-fed beef tallow-fried corn chips in his garage, how can I trust him?
Thanks for the big super chat. Yeah, it's weird. He didn't have any masa chips for us. I would have liked to try one. Apparently they're life-changing. I would have loved to try one. But yeah, no masa chips. I wonder if he even really eats them.
Vladimir Vich 9 sent $20. Hey Nick, you keep saying that you plan on getting married in the future. Are you talking about a legal marriage with the federal government or just a monogamous commitment within a Catholic framework?
Why is that any of your business? Like, why do you even care? This is a talk show about politics. So, Nick, about your future marriage. Why do you even care?
Harley sent $100. Nick, just wanted to say congratulations on all of your success. I'm so happy to see it, and it offers hope that real people can break through the conservative BS machine. Watching all of the shills cry, kick and scream trying to stop you is just so glorious.
Thank you for the big super chat, Carlin B. We love Carlin B. I appreciate you. I know. Yeah, it's been pretty delish, huh?
Rising Ashes 1945
Pretty
sent $75.
delish.
Episode 1599. Pretty impressive how far this show has gone on for and gets better after each episode. Here's to another 1,599.
All right. Thanks a lot. I appreciate
Set his
that.
on YouTube sent $23. In Mexico, a group of patriotic hooligans put some graffiti on the palace wall that read Puta Judea, which translates to Jewish whore. Kind of crazy how fast the West is waking up to their manipulation, even to the point of revolt. I thank you for all your work, Nick. Big fan.
Is Mexico part of the West now? What are you talking about? Sorry, what about Mexico is Western? What are you talking about? That's just totally insane.
Lane Roy sent $20. Trump is still gay, but even he knows America first is inevitable.
Very true.
Chef Mark sent $75. 3 months sober from alcohol and pot. Attended my first mass in 15 years yesterday. I was never baptized, and respected the service. There is only one church on the Reverend Mass site in my county. I had been to others in the area not knowing there was a difference. Just bought a new suit and plan to go back. But what do you look for in a good church?
It's just a cat. Oh, man. It's so hard not to crash out, man. We're not Protestants. We don't. What do you mean? What do you look for in a good church? We're not fucking Baptists where it's like, I like what these people say. You're there for the Eucharist. Look, go to one I don't know. Go to one that you like. What are you looking for exactly? What exactly are you looking for other than your Sunday commitment? Are you looking for someone to pat you on the ass and say you have all the right politics? Are you looking for Are you looking for a sermon about the fucking Israel lobby? Is that what you're looking for? I mean, seriously. What are you looking for other than your Sunday obligation where you receive the sacraments? Because anyone that does that is good. It's fine. Okay? What do you want me to fly out there and hold your hand and help you look? I gave you the website. You know, what do you want from me? What more do you want from me here? Want me to go with you and I'll do the thinking for you too?
Outlaws Girardi sent $40. Please hear me out. It's extremely important for believers to read the Bible because, as 2 Timothy 3:14-17 states, it's profitable not only for being wise unto salvation but also growing one's ability for good works. Moreover, Psalm 119:105 says the word guides our path. Lastly, we discern the word with the Spirit. John 14:26.
Yeah, and look at what good that is doing all the Protestants that want transgender marriages and drag queen story hour inside the church. There's something you're missing, which is the shepherd. That's what you're missing. What you're missing is that there actually has to be some authority over the interpretation and the dogma and the doctrine. Because what words are you talking about? There's 73 books in one Bible, 66 in another. And there's Apocrypha. And there's all sorts of interpretations. The Bible is a long and complex book. So clearly the words on the pages by themselves, they're actually not enough. And that's why you need the church. Christ left us a church, not a Bible. The Bible does not come together in the canon until centuries after Christ lived, died, lived again. What Christ left us in the book of Acts is the first church. 12 disciples and then hundreds more. That's the church. That's what Christ left us. So, and look, what I said, people are so ridiculous. When I said on Friday, somebody goes, should we be able to read the Bible or whatever? And I said, no. First of all, I'm obviously being hyperbolic. Then you get every obtuse, ridiculous person. Can you help me understand why we shouldn't? But it's meant to illustrate a point, which is that if you attend the Catholic Mass, I believe it's in the course of 2 years, you will hear it's either 2 or 3 years. If you attend Mass every Sunday, you will hear the entire Bible. I think it's in 2 years or 3 years. But the difference is you hear it in a setting where you're also getting instruction on it. You're getting the reading in the week to digest, but you're also getting some reflection on it. You're also getting some insight on it from a priest. And all Catholics they're getting catechism as well. Whereas any random person, they
I don't know if
pick
that's
up the
good.
Bible, and that's why you get all kinds of different interpretations. You get people that say Jesus is the Son of God, but not God. Or you get people debating about faith and works. You get people debating about, whether you only have to profess the faith or whether you have to demonstrate charity, which is a fruit of the Spirit. And there's all kinds of doctrinal disputes. But the point of the matter is, it's a question of whether we're a people of the book or whether we're a people of a church. That's the difference. So.
Evan Riddell sent $50. Hey Nick, has anyone really been far even has decided to use even but wanted to look more like? Thoughts? God bless. G36 Bubba sent $30. Standard time is not America first. Daylight savings time needs to be standard time. Single issue voter status almost. Matt from Maine sent $60. Thank you for everything you do. How was your Maine visit outside of the interview? Janet Mills, our governor is involved in a Chinese mafia drug op or something. It sucks to live here sometimes, but so is everywhere else, so get Ben Shapiro. I'm staying. Triumphant face emoji.
It was nice. I liked it. It was very beautiful. But I got to be honest. New England is very beautiful. I love it. I love Massachusetts. I love New Hampshire. I love Maine. I love the natural beauty and the cities they're kind of interesting, but there's kind of like a weird, haunting energy about New England. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's like a internalized cultural thing, because of the Salem witch trials or something. But whenever I go to New England, there's kind of like an evil energy there. Am I the only one that feels this way? Because don't get me wrong. It's very Americana, and I love the feeling there. It's like I love the leaf peeping season is when I was there. I love seeing the leaves turn, the colonial infrastructure. But it has this very ominous, dark energy. It's sort of like gothic in a way. It's kind of goth. And I don't know how I feel about that. I get like an unsettling feeling, and I get homesick very quickly there. I get some places I don't get homesick at all, and some places I feel it very strongly, and New England is one of those places. I go there and I immediately feel out of place. In a way that I don't in like Florida or California or even Tennessee for that matter, Wisconsin, Virginia. But yeah, I feel like a fish out of water there. It's a very strange place. It feels like Pilgrim Town. But it was very beautiful. I liked it. I liked my time there. But I didn't really get I was in and out. I was there for like a day. So I really didn't get to see a whole lot. I jumped in the car, drove out to the studio, drove back to the hotel. I walked around a little bit in the town by where Tucker is, and that was kind of cool, but didn't really get to spend a ton of time sightseeing.
Roman Groyev sent $20. Did you see that Netanyahu is reading the Jews Against Rome book?
Yeah, I've only heard about it 6 million
North
times.
Carolina sent $20.
Thanks.
Good evening, Nick. First of all, God bless you and your
6
family.
million times.
Praying for you as a fellow Christian. America first as always. God, my dad to completely flip on Israel a couple weeks ago, and I've never been more
Great.
proud of myself. All Gen Xers
Great.
must notice. Billions must call into Mark Levin's Disaster Podcast and
Love to
Why
hear
More
it.
Palestine sent $250. Sending support your way. Standing by you always, brother. God bless.
Thank you for the big super chat. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much.
Dorothy and sent $30. Love seeing you stand up for Andrew and Rachel Wilson. They truly are great people, and those attacks were out of context clips. You both share a lot of the same younger audience. Would be happy to see more unification on the right as the tide's changing. Brillen Holofeg called you out today. Are you threatened by him at all? Lala Lola.
Brylan Hollyhand. Well, he's trying. He's trying. It's kind of hard for me to be mad because he's like a little kid. He's like some 18-year-old ridiculous kid, and he's going at me like 4 or 5 times today, and it's hard not to just laugh. You know, it's like, what, I'm going to be in a feud with like some teenager? So I just kind of find it amusing and funny. But he'll grow up. I'm not going to go hard on him because he's a kid. You know, if he became, maybe if anyone took him seriously, I'd have more of a problem with it. But now I just see him as like a little kid. And, so we'll see what happens with him. But it's kind of funny. It's funny seeing him like redo the old playbook. It's like, you're 18 years old. Where do you get off with this shit? You know? But, yeah, so I don't know. I don't find myself enraged about it. I just think it's kind of amusing.
And Daughter of the King sent $30. Started watching after Charlie Kirk. Loving the show. First super chat. 26 years. My bad if this is a dumb question, but do you think it would be beneficial registered Republicans switch to registered independents? Do you think that would send a bigger message, or there's no difference?
It doesn't. That's just
Lil Baltic
nonsense.
sent $25. You expect there to be pressure on Trump to revise his statement and condemn you and Tucker? I fully anticipate that we will be force-fed the Trumper cost on X this week.
He might. Yeah, I have a sneaking suspicion that he might put something else out there. You know, because you got to know he's getting a ton of phone calls. Mr. President, you got to say something else. You got to condemn. So I would not be surprised if there's some Truth Social post, but there's no takesies, backsies. You can't take that back, actually. It's out there and it's staying out there. And he might revise it, but he can't put that back in the bottle. So we're taking it. We're running with it. Yeah, I took what he said. I'm just hanging on to that.
Canuck sent $100 for the last 3 shows on weeknights with primetime football, including tonight's MNF. The notification that your live has appeared minutes after the conclusion of each game. A fan allegedly spotted you at a preseason Bears game this year. Interesting. Very interesting.
Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah. That's true. I was at a football game, but I was there with a friend of mine. And normally I don't do that shit, but I had a sports ball enjoyer friend. You think I'm watching football? That's the newest conspiracy theory. That's the least likely one I've ever heard. Secret football. I finish the show, take the suit off, put on my football jersey. Finally, I could be myself. Put on a football jersey and throw some taquitos in the oven and some nachos. Finally, go Bears! Touchdown! Got to keep it down. You never know who's listening. That's a good one. Now that's funny.
Woogly Woogly sent $20. Crystal/Kyle. Handshake emoji. Ben Shapiro organized jury. What are you, some sort of neo-Nazi?
Yeah, they're idiots. Who
Francesco
cares?
sent $200. Vindicated on Joe Kent. When you said we have to assign a penalty to Republicans who will disavow and still expect your vote. Between each sources saying administration officials are afraid to criticize Fuentes. Trump, get the word out. 30 to 40% grow wipers in the admin. The American people are now able to demand more without being pissed on. The credit for that belongs solely to you. So God bless you.
Thank you for the big super chat. Look, that's the playbook. I've been running that playbook for a long time. but thank you.
Cheeser sent $35. First things first, I eat your brains. Thanks for keeping it 6-7 king.
Bruh, dude, that was so bad. I still feel bad for Charlie.
Randy Watson sent $25. Who has been your toughest debate to date? If you had your pick, who do you want to debate the most now? Thoughts on the Mexico situation? If you didn't cover it on the show, USMC vet. Gen X pattern recognizer. Love the show and thanks for the education. America first.
Love when it's just a million questions and one minimum super chat. Toughest debate? I don't know, man. They were all easy because I'm a genius. If I had my pick, who would Ben Shapiro? Thoughts on Mexico? What the revolt on Scheinbaum? I don't know. I don't follow Mexican politics.
Bristol sent $20. The first two people to have over 50% betting odds of challenging Vance and running for the Republican nomination emerged this week, and they are Marjorie Taylor Greene and Ted Cruz. That'll be a fun rivalry.
Oh, I can't do 28's going to be insane.
Mailman P sent
Get
$25.
ready. We're going to run the fucking election in 28.
Mailman P sent $25.
Oh, yeah.
It's a hoax. A Democrat fake W's Lee. Investigate everyone excluding me involving Epstein, and tack Israel blackmail onto the motion hashtag me not hash mega. Donald J. Trump. 20K emails. Trump's name comes up 1,500x. Are Epstein's emails regarded differently compared to Hillary's emails?
Shut
Did Trump not
up.
give
Why
HC
is this is such an yeah, thanks for just restating everything on the show. Really? Yes, yeah, that's everything I just talked about on the show.
Gang shit, no lame shit sent $25. $7,000 Club and World Jewish Congress. 600 delegates from 100 countries unanimously agree it's anti-Semitic to say Jews are organized and orchestrate coordinated institutional attacks on PPL, putting their home country first. Zero self-awareness.
I know, that's exactly what I said during the same show we all just watched. Thank you for saying it again.
New telephone sent
needed
$24.
that.
You did it. Got in chat donations churning and I see you on the front page of Rumble now. Won't have to deal with the parasocial super chatters much longer, lol.
Very interesting.
Mailman P sent $20. Bet Trump would blow an African American for extra spray day. Centurion
That's
Broiker sent
retarded.
$100. What are your thoughts on the possibility that the Trump administration denies the release of selected files on the basis that they're now part of an active investigation following Trump's directive this
Yeah, that's obviously going to happen. Thank you.
0R3 and sent $20. What are you looking forward to eating the most this Thanksgiving?
Finally, a good question. Stuffing, mashed potatoes. Those are probably my two favorites. My mom does the spread every year. She does a great job. The turkey's always moist. We have the stuffing, mashed potatoes with gravy, peas. What else does she make? Biscuits. We got the cranberry stuff also. What do you call that? I guess it's just cranberries. I think corn too. It's either peas or corn. And then pie with ice cream. My favorite is, I love the mashed potatoes. I love mashed potatoes. And I love the stuffing. To me, that's the best part. And what I'm really looking forward to is the leftovers. Everybody knows that's the meta. Is there anything better? So, and that's an example of assimilation, by the way. That's an example of assimilation. I know a lot of Italians that on Thanksgiving, they have like Italian food. My family, we have the Pilgrim Thanksgiving and everything. We got the straight up turkey and stuffing, no greaseball shit. So, yes, I'm very excited. That's like next week, right? Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be good.
Tranny Godparent sent $20. All the YouTube pundits slam you for saying world Jewry. They act like it's the ramblings of a crazy person. I saw, in the last few days, 2 videos of different prominent NYC rabbis talking about it, saying specifically world Jewry. And they were liberal rabbis. It's not just Zionist.
I know, yeah. Look, these people are just, they still don't get it. They won't let go of their liberal priors. And they just fundamentally don't understand the issue. They're still very far away from getting it, but that's okay. I'll teach
Dominican
them.
Roy sent $20. I'm forming a team. The Good Boys. Brandon Tatum, Eric Adams, Leo Terrell, Reverend Jordan Wells. Where are these coons coming from?
Yeah, for
Non-Groy
real.
Groy sent $25. I landed
Oh,
precious
mama.
legal internship by disavowing Groy
you
ideology in the
better
interview.
Based.
Appeal to normies. Lie.
Based.
Never flippantly reveal
Based.
your true beliefs. This is what covertly invading institutions looks like.
Yep.
Glad to see you're rebooting the AF Foundation, Nick. Parallel institutions are important for when the game resets.
Yes, it is. You're so right about that. And it's true. Lie to them. Lie about your beliefs. Tell them you disavow the Groypers. I love that.
Dylan Kessinger sent $20. Not to be cheesy, but you're a modern-day Hitler. You only care about America and you speak for the majority. I am the American people in the flesh anyways. Love, stay safe. You have many followers in the army like
Okay.
myself. God
Thank
bless.
you for that,
Andrew
I
Plank sent
guess.
$100. My 12 years old was captivated by your talk a couple nights ago and asked if we could send a donation. Your words are moving the right people. We also sent a donation to your foundation tonight. We employ many young impressionable men who recommended I listen to your content. We will continue to support your foundation. That organized peace will be the path forward.
That's very touching. Thank you very much. I appreciate the. I got to watch my language. I feel bad. When I know that families are watching, I feel bad because I'm not family friendly, okay? I'm an eccentric. I'm a real human being. And I'm not family friendly. So I feel bad when it's kids and women watching the show because I'm a freak and my language is so bad. But that's very touching, and I really appreciate the big super chat. Our youngest supporters, we appreciate you. Listen to your mother and father. Stay in school. Stay away from drugs and alcohol, okay? And remember, follow your parents, follow God. That's my corny advice from, I guess I'm Unc now. I guess I'm an old fart. I'm an old fart like your dad. I'm an old man now. But no, but that's very touching. I really appreciate that. And that's what it's all about. You know, it's about the future. It's about the kids, because the kids are the future. So it's about making sure they grow up in a world, in a country where the people that rule do not hate us and are not actively taking away what's ours, what we have a right to, taking away our neighborhoods, our quality of life, our culture. So it's a multi-generational movement. We love the old people. We love the young people, the middle-aged people. That's what it's all about. So I love to hear it, man. I'm glad to hear it. Thank you so much, and I appreciate all the support.
Squirrel Girl sent $21. Long haul small animal transporter here. I put you on the loudspeaker in the car and the critters go wild with joy. I made a Tiny America First hat for my prairie dog.
Cute.
Come visit your critter fans next time we're in your town.
I might. Let me know. I love animals. I would love that. I love animals. I had my pet bunny. And the problem is I love animals, but I'm really just not a responsible pet owner. I could barely take care of myself. I'm like Dewey from School of Rock. You know, that's how I feel. So I could barely take care of myself. I can't take care of a parakeet or a monkey so I love animals, but that's my curse. I'm not consistent enough to really be a good fur dad. Is that what it's called for a pet? I wasn't a good father for my bunny. I wasn't there for him. I'm sorry, Edward. I wasn't there for him. I was young. Yeah, poor Edward. I mean, look, he was well taken care of, but I wasn't very consistent. So, yeah, I would love to see the animals. I love the animals.
Real Yid sent $20. Megan Kelly loves playing both sides. I have no respect for her.
Yeah, well, she's just dishonest. Have me on your show. You know, you're going to listen to every side other than this one. Shapiro, Tucker, Candace, have me on the show.
Dystopian Capture sent $25. Do you know Pints with Aquinas / Matt Farad? His content got me out of Mormonism and into Catholicism. Would you ever go on a theological podcast like that?
Maybe, yeah, depends.
Helix Kirby sent $20. There's a way that Vance can serve 10 years as president. If Trump resigns or is removed / dies 2 years in, do you think that Trump not disavowing you could lead to this? Maybe he's in the files and is actually successfully removed from office?
Who knows? It's useless to speculate on, oh, well, what if this happened? Like, yeah, maybe that's the plan. That would be pretty unprecedented. Seems unlikely. But anything's possible. Like, what do you want to hear, fucktard? Do you think I have a crystal ball? This is why I just hate stupid people so much. There are things that are knowable, and then there are things that are unknowable. And the things that are unknowable, no one knows them, okay? So these kinds of like, what ifs? What if this? Do you think this? Well, what if we could make it? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I guess so. Do you like, and it's the stupid person that is unable to differentiate between a smart person that can make conjectures based on evidence, and then the category of knowledge, which falls into the domain of speculation, the things that cannot be known in advance, the things that are without precedent, and they think that smart people have some access to what is unknown. Do you think that there's a grand conspiracy to remove Trump and give JD 10? I don't know. No one knows. No one knows that. It's not knowable. Okay? I am looking at the same information that you are. I am able to make conjectures based on patterns. If something like that happened, it would be unprecedented. It would be a conspiracy at the highest levels of government. No, if I knew it, everyone would know it, and then it would defeat the whole purpose. Okay, stupid? So no one knows that. Yeah, it's possible. Anything's possible. What if a bomb dropped on your head? What if a bomb dropped on your head right now? Like, no one knows. That's the point. Jeez. That is the biggest tell of who is stupid and who is not, is whether you ask a question like that. Hey, Nick, you're pretty smart. Is Vance gonna become the like, one's got nothing to do with the other. I'm not a fucking fortune teller here. Why did I predict we'd be going to war with Iran? They were broadcasting it for years. So, anyway.
America First 1776 sent $20. Hey Nick and God bless. President Trump said to get the word out and the people will have to decide. We want America First. I also purchased an America First hat to replace my MAGA hat and I will support the America First Foundation too. The Grow Wipers will be at all the primaries in 2028 to demand the America First.
So true.
Really,
Love
it
to
sent
hear
$20.
it. Thank
If I say
you.
blacks are poor and violent, I'm called racist. If I say blacks are poor and violent due to systemic racism, I'm a good liberal.
Okay.
Jim Bob Blankford sent $25. My friend that lives in Florida told me to send this. You deserve to be heard by as many as possible. Shift the show to Rush's old spot 12p3p or 5 to 8. You will 5x your reach. Show's too damn late. Your day ones are getting older. Saluting face emoji. He's a wag with a job and wife and kids and shit, but he gets sleepy around 11 p.m. EST. Please, bro.
What else should I do? Should I put on my sunglasses? Maybe I'll just do the show from the front seat of my truck. Hey, I got an idea. Maybe I'll just start doing the show from the driver's seat side of my Ford F-150 and my sunglasses and my trucker hat with my iPhone. And I'll just call it something like Nick's Rants. Would that be better too? Maybe I'll grow a goatee. Maybe then that'd be good for all the boomers to watch the show. I'll just get in the front seat of my Ford F-150, trucker hat, sunglasses, goatee, and I'll wear a t-shirt. And I'll just hold my phone out and I'll say, and another thing, and you know what else? Mr. Trump. Yeah. Any other changes, any other revisions I should look into? What else should I do?
He sent $35.
You tell me.
Organized Jewry is attempting the Kalergi plan on all white majority countries, trying to make us minorities through manufacturing consent for unlimited non-white immigration. Same things happening in Ireland, Sweden, Australia. Real youth sent $20. Why don't we have a
Studio
friend open LLC
shaking.
under his
What
name
a
selling
hot
your hats?
take.
And he should sponsor your show through ad placement showing the hats. Then you can accept.
Great
American
idea.
Reform
Thanks.
sent
Never thought of
$115.
that. Thank you for the
Christina
big
from New
super
York sent
chat.
$25. The girlies are missing the mustache. Right, girlies? Will you grow it back? Also, do you like The Greatest Showman? If
Never seen
African American Destroyer 67 sent $25. You should wear a wedding ring on stream. It's great bling and keeps the bitches away.
I would rather
He
die,
sent $35.
actually.
Organized Jewry is attempting the Kalergi plan on all white majority countries. Jariap sent
Thanks.
$20. Did you see that pathetic Catholic Matt Walsh trying to out America you by saying he's American only and would save one American family over 10 million foreigners?
Yeah.
He's jumped the shark.
He did jump the shark. Just quit
African-American
Daily
girl
Wire.
Haley sent $25. You see James English posting the wank merch?
No, I didn't.
Henry
but
Lasting
that's
sent
cool.
$125. Hello, I'm a Jewish FANG software engineer. Years ago my Midwestern crush chose a career-less Anglo-Germanic Midwestern guy over me. They don't have kids because they're too poor. Did she make the right choice keeping it in her tribe?
Yep. Thank you for the big super chat.
Pandomics
Love
sent
to hear it.
$25. You sir made me covert to Catholicism. I've
Great.
done a lot of research on the topic in the last month that led me to it, but I'm curious your reasons for choosing Catholicism over something like Orthodox. Thank you for your amazing work.
We only talk about that every other night. How do I red pill my dad? Catholic or Orthodox?
Subhuman Goyim sent $25. Hello. Just opened Eclipse account to help preserve your message. Thank you and I pray for you and
Great.
your family.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Love
sent
to hear it.
$35. Organized Jewry is attempting the Kalergi plan on all white men.
Third
Scandinavian
time.
grower
We
sent
got it.
$75.
Thanks.
Respect and love from Denmark.
Thank you. We
Jude
love
Soberlover sent
Denmark.
$25.
Love to hear it.
My college roommate is acting like a fucking loser. All he does is think about drugs and women instead of getting it together and getting a job. How do I fix my day one before I have to switch up?
You can't fix
Zion
those
Don sent
people.
$350. Christ is king. What sort of resources are you looking for in the America First Foundation?
Money. Thank you for the huge super chat. I
And
appreciate
World
it.
Jewry sent $25.
Thank you
Kyle
so
Kulinski
much.
go one day without posting about Nick. Challenge. Impossible.
Yeah,
Freedom Needs
seriously.
Form sent $50. I would love to get involved in the foundation. I will relocate and work a year for free. I have political experience as a firefighter.
Oh,
Josiah Montoya
great.
sent
That
$20.
again.
Will they ever release the 9/11 files as Trump promised on his election campaign?
No.
Doug Stodging sent $20. First time super chatter. Paying my dues. Odds we get an infrastructure bill before 2028? Poor Richard sent $25. As bad as Trump may be at times, he'll always be the goat at verbally abusing female reporters. Lobo Workwear sent $50. When the Trump clip popped on my feed and I read that he was asked about you and Tucker, I was ready to call him a cocksucker. Then I heard his answer and I couldn't help but be happy for you, man. You know Mark Levin is so pissed right now, haha. On top of that, my hat came in. Is Trump Wang of the
Great.
week? Great show, Nick. God bless you and your family.
Thank you so
He sent
much. I
$35.
really appreciate
Organized
it.
Jewry attempting the Kalergi plan on all white
A
majority
fourth
countries,
time.
trying to make us minorities through
A fourth.
Crystal Brock sent $25. Love to your mom. M. Big sent $20. Culver's flavor of the day is Candace's chocolate cheeks. Are you getting a scoop, nigga?
You getting a scoop?
Yo, yeah, Scoopy's gonna have to hold me back. Scoopy, the frozen custard mascot, gonna have to get out of the way. I'm be jumping over the counter. Give me that flavor of the month. Get me triple scooped up flavor of the month. I had Culver's today. I got the chicken tenders and the mac and cheese. Yeah, and what about it? And what about it? Farm fresh, pasture raised, corn free, antibiotic free. Dude, I saw one of these videos the other day. You know, let me just take a deep breath first before because I'm literally going to spontaneously combust. I'm going to like burst into flames if I keep working myself up like this. I saw a video this week. I saw it last night, and it's this guy, and he's got a video. He goes, "This is what I bought. These are my groceries for the week." And it's like a table with like all this meat, eggs, vegetables, sourdough bread, water, you know, a bunch of stuff. And it like the whole time he's just like up talking. He's like, "So we got some really nice farm fresh pasture raised eggs. We got some nice honey made ice cream. We got some nice plums. We got some nice broccoli. We got some," it was always some this, some that, some whatever. And I just want to grab that guy. He's probably 3 times my size. He would probably kill me with one punch. But in my imagination, I would like to grab this guy by the collar and just scream into his face, "Who the fuck cares? You went grocery shopping? Good for you. You went to the grocery store and bought meat, eggs, and vegetables? Someone get this man a trophy. Tell Time Magazine. Somebody called Time Magazine most influential of the year, Time Person of the Year. The guy that went grocery shopping, who cares? Okay, you discovered meat and eggs? Congrats." And always the up talking. "We got some nice cruelty-free, pasture-raised, corn-free, organic eggs. We got some sourdough products. We got some plums, which are just in season. We got," like that was the video. And I'm watching this and I'm just like, you fucking asshole. Like, okay, great. Okay, you're eating meat and eggs. So what? It makes me beside myself. This like class of people that has come up, they want to tell everybody you need to be eating like this. You need to eat like that. Thanks, but I know about eggs. Like, you don't need to tell me that eggs exist. Thank you very much. They make eggs and they put it on a wooden cutting board with their steak and they go, "Yeah, look at how I'm eating. You need to eat like this. Steak and eggs? Oh man, you're telling me for the first time. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I know steak and eggs exist, pal. Oh, and fruit? Oh, I never heard of fruit before." They go to the farmer's market, they get strawberries, they act like this is some innovation. This is some revolution in consciousness. I got berries, meat, and eggs. You've never met someone like me before. Yeah, no one's ever done that before. Breaking new ground, truly. That's insane. And they go to the farmer's market like, okay, I'm about to say something really controversial. Honest to God, do you really believe, seriously, could it be demonstrated in a lab that the strawberries you get at your faggoty little farmer's market are any different than the strawberries you get at Trader Joe's or Target? Seriously? Could you test it in a lab? They go, "Oh, I went to, it's locally sourced organic." Yeah, it's all organic. What are you talking about? It's all the same. Blackberries, blueberries, strawberries, it's the same. It's the same. All this effort, they're boiling it's reverse osmosis water and they actively re-add the minerals. Really? And you're telling me that if I spend thousands of dollars on this bullshit and I spend all this time on this crap, I'm really gonna feel better than if I went to Jewel and bought a fucking water bottle? Really? Because I would venture to guess that there's zero difference, actually. I think all the vitamins and minerals, I think you're just pissing it out anyway. I don't think it makes one bit of a difference at all.
Oh, you're an
I
idiot,
made
dude.
reverse
Fuck.
osmosis water and re-added the minerals, and I got these strawberries from the farmer's market. See, honestly, what difference does it make?
A big difference.
Than if you just get
Dumbass.
them from Jewel or from Target. People are insane. People have gone totally insane. Because here's how they got you. They went from saying like, maybe Pop-Tarts are not good for you. They went from saying, maybe cheeseburgers and French fries are not healthy to like, you have to have healthy water. You have to have hydrogen water. Hydrogen water? That's what it's H2O. You invented a new water? Like they jumped the shark. They went too crazy. They went from saying you can't have a diet of Fruity Pebbles, McDonald's, and Hostess cupcakes to like you need health water. Health water? So I'm out. I've seen enough. I'm out. I will shop at the store for food. Thank you very much. You can keep your pasture-raised, cruelty-free, whatever from a hippie. And all that other. You're eating steak every day. You think that's healthy? People are eating red meat for lunch and dinner every day, and they think they're not going to get rectal cancer. Like, it's totally insane. But hey, knock yourself out. Up to you.
Luke sent $30. Krabby Appleson. George
Yeah.
Washington sent $20.
Very
Crap,
good.
yeah.
First time super chatter and newer fan. Did you see that Asmongold said you should have been nominated for a Streamers Award?
I did, which I appreciate. Asmongold has been very solid. Great guy. I love the live chat. L neg. No, I'm right about this, and you're all wrong. You're all just like I was right about the Jews in Israel. I'm also right about this. You'll see.
Roymaster6769 sent $25. Why don't you worry about the nuclear blackmail from Israel? You say it would be so easy to just stand up to them, but their ICBMs would still work.
First of all, they don't have ICBMs, okay? They have medium-range ballistic missiles, not ICBMs. You don't even know what you're talking about. That's first of all. Second of all, I talk about it all the time.
Based Beaner sent $25. Does Daddy Trump win Honorable Wag of the Week? Course Office
Sure.
Ag sent $25. You probably don't care what's going on in Canada, but we are also severely occupied by Jews. We need a similar movement like you're in Canada, with Bill C2, C8, C9 and the internet.
Okay, it's called America First. Nobody
Irishman has sent
cares.
$20. Yay, GF, and Pope Leo XIV. Just 3 kids from Chicago.
So
Breezes
true.
sent $30. If it's America first, but do you have an opinion on all these revolutions? One is now taking place in Mexico.
It doesn't really look like a
Dylan Van
revolution.
Dale sent $20. Victory of the people, God will add fountains. Candace converted me sent $30. Paying respect from one Asperger's to another.
Candace
Officer Rose can
converted
put me
me.
in cuffs any day of the week. John Dave Irving sent $100. Nicholas, while in my studies, I heard this quote and really thought it applied to you. First they laugh at you, then they ignore you, then they fight you, then you win. On Team Gione. He'll DM you the citation if you want to use
Oh,
it.
thanks. I appreciate
I don't
that.
love you and sent $20. Did you see Ian Carroll's podcast? In the Epstein emails, Epstein's brother said that Trump blew Bill Clinton aka Bubba. This is huge. Trump is gay and easily blackmailed. Jerkface Groy sent $25. Matt Walsh's new stance is America only because he's too scared to support America first in order to not piss off Shapiro. Bobby Groy sent $20. Did you see Lomer play the Jewish victim card after being called a rat? Where was she when Jordan said you were worse than a rat?
So
Luke
true.
sent $35.
Yeah.
Debate Berlin Holly Hand. Hottie potty. Patton 777 sent $20. Did you see Candace's big whoop today was about the Egyptian planes and how their location and Erica's overlapped more than 60 times and they were actually tracking her and not in lol.
Yeah, I love the idea that like if like Israel is tracking Erica Kirk, they're going to send a military cargo plane. Like that's inconspicuous. Do you know how much money that would cost? Do you know how many millions and millions of dollars it would cost to fuel and to fly a military cargo plane 70 places to follow her around? You're telling me that the Mossad didn't choose something more inconspicuous? Like, no, Mossad isn't flying on commercial jet. They're not flying on a small aircraft. No, Mossad is tracking Erica Kirk, the spouse of a nonprofit leader, in an Egyptian military cargo aircraft. As if that's inconspicuous. Like Erica Kirk lands on the tarmac, the steps come down, she gets off, and she sees a giant Egyptian military cargo plane landing right beside her for the 70th time. And she goes, that's weird. What's this Egyptian military cargo plane doing at this small airport in Provo? That same one that's been following me around the country. Yeah, that's inconspicuous. They did that to cover up for a couple of $1 million being embezzled in Turning Point. Like, does that even make sense? It's totally insane, man.
The real chat move sent $25. The greed of the wealthy 0.1% ruling class counters the greed of the lower classes to endlessly procreate. It's homeostasis. Wise men accept this. Greed counters greed. Christoph Pfister sent
Interesting.
$20. I would like to hear what you think about Hyde Park. Question from a current U Chicago graduate student. With affection less than 3.
Too dangerous. I can't go there. I mean, Hyde Park is like a bubble in the middle of the ghetto, but increasingly it's not even safe. I know some people at U Chicago, they say that people are getting mugged and jumped all the time over there. So it's a nice place. I mean, there's some good food there, and the architecture is very cool. It's like a cool little town, but it's too diverse. So yeah, it's a little rough over there.
Unforgettable Fire sent $25. Why aren't Jewish politicians or influencers made to wear a cross in parliament like the wall in Israel? James Wood, we need the holy water.
Is that a
Exianus
real
sent
question?
$25. Hey Nick, big fan. Just wanted to share that God healed me of my male homosexuality. I even have a GF now. She was a leftist, but now I got her hooked on the show. We go to mass together on Sundays and watch your streams every chance we can get. Sending love your way. God bless.
Is that real? Wow. Well, good for you. Love to hear
Trump
it.
getting gorilla raped by Shabbos Goys Groy % $20. Me and the Goys colonizing the West Bank first. YF.
Great.
Luke
Love
sent
it.
$30. Can you explain why you are against corporate tax cuts? Czech Slav Monkey
No,
Ball I
I
%
will
$30.
not.
Have you seen the increase in white Brits in the US this year? They probably count Jews and Middle Easterners as whites though. Broken heart emoji.
Yeah, it increased by like, what, 0.2%?
All right, I'm gonna
$20. Glossy
pass
not being
out.
term meaning to enter an explanation / contextualization
See
in
you,
the margins
buddy.
of a manuscript. Shapiro's
All right,
Jewish
have a good
education
one.
probably made it synonymous with behaving in good faith as an interviewer.
I don't think
The
that's
Jewish
it.
question sent $25. How does a Jewish guy make coffee? He brews it. Spartan Groy per 117 cent 20.